Hello and welcome everyone once again to the 2022 edition of the London University Esports Tournament in London, of course. Back for Group 1 today. You are joined by myself, Takua, and for the first time, Cookie. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to these games. We have, first of all, LSD against QMU, which will be amazing because I've seen QMU play, and I've seen them play yesterday actually, doing very well against the Imperial Apes, and really looking forward to their performance today.
He absolutely has been dominating the University Leagues, of course. Just a quick recap from Monday, if you weren't able to watch that one we do have the results off of Group 2. Of course, UCL coming out on top of that one with the 3-0, followed by Roehampton. Those are the two teams that are qualifying to that round. And of course, the Group 1 results from last time, where LSE got 1 win versus UAL and Queens on the other side.
And these results mean that whoever wins this game is automatically qualified to the semi-finals. That means everything to play for. And what else do we have except for getting in the group stage? What are the prizes for this tournament?
Yeah, of course, we have an amazing prize pool offered by our sponsors. Monster have a huge amount of cans. The Federation, of course, being one of our other sponsors in that they're able to provide a competitive esports tournament platform online, and they're giving you £150 of Riot points between the winners, and of course Glitch Energy, which are another energy drink company, who are providing you vouchers for some energy drinks. So a lot to play for, certainly.
And the other two teams who are playing for are the UAL and UEL, and they will be also trying to gun for the these prizes and try to get into semi-finals. And obviously we are in the new Meta Gaming Arena as we were on Monday, and very much thank you for them to providing the arena for all our London players to come to such a nice atmosphere place to compete and just have fun in general.
Alright, well, I think time is the time for a little bit of a team rundown, as they say. So we have the LSE roster available of Nick, Remy, King Kendrick, LSE Dog, and the Mad Chad. Now, for those of you who have seen any of LSE's current NORL or NSE things, this is not the same roster. This is the roster from last year, which was a significantly more storied roster per se.
And our next team to look at is the Queen Mary University, and we have Lunatic, SpongyBob, Better Self, Farlong, and Huang. So I've seen Better Self and Farlong and Lunatic playing in the NORL. Very, very dominating players. A lot of good plays being played. So very looking forward to seeing them in this game.
Yeah, precisely. So obviously, if you did keep up with the first set of games coming from Group 1 last time, you'll realise that, well, it was a pretty dominating performance from both Queens and LSE themselves. So what we're expecting this time is a much, much closer game than the other ones in Group 1, because these are the two best teams in the group. And like you say, whoever wins this basically qualifies, because guess what? You're versus the other top competition in your group.
Yes, and it will be so interesting to see. Looking at those rankings of these players are very much high diamond master players, very much top tier NORL team material, and we'll have to see how they bring out the new strat, especially with the new preseason patch.
Yes.
Bring out the new strats that they think will be good in this meta.
Yeah, precisely, because the other games were also not played in the preseason. If we look at Monday, I think the general micro-meta, at least within this tournament, was very, very proactive junglers and a bot side focus. The fact is allowing your junglers to facilitate their bot side, potentially ganking the lane and then snowballing that way. We had a very, very successful Caitlyn Karma from Roehampton, for example, that was supplemented well by jungle pressure. I think it was a Zinzao that game. But you're looking at Zinzao, you're looking at Sejuani, you're looking at Hecarim. At least that's what came through on Monday.
Yes, these high tempo jungles actually are very, very, very dominating from what I've seen. With all the jungle timer changes, with all the jungle changes where you can clear a lot faster, a lot easier, you have actually a lot more time on your hand to do stuff. So it allows Hecarim to just invade after clearing his all the camps and meet you at your blue buff or red buff. Allows those plays to come online, clearing all your camps and just say, I will sit in this bush, I will make a play, I will set up a trap.
Yeah, pretty much that. Of course, one thing you still have to consider is it's still university level esports. There are a lot of things that maybe in the wider meta you won't necessarily see, but you get comfort pick champions, of course, throughout all over the place. So maybe we'll see one or two of those, of course, if I'm not mistaken. Here on the side of Queen Mary, we have a little bit of a Kiana player in the mid lane, and I know on the LSE side there's a few other one tricks or comfort picks likewise, I do believe. Remy, for example, is quite proficient on the Lissandra.
Lissandra, it's a very, very good pick, I would say. It's very suitable for these kind of really hectic uni-level 5v5 games, really capitalizing on the chaotic nature of the game and just say, I'm gonna push my lane, I'm gonna roam, I'm gonna make plays for my jungler, I'm gonna use all that CC and all that early game damage without scaling, so the base damage is to make a kill happen.
Yeah, precisely that. I mean, again, we're still waiting for everyone to get into draft. There's a few issues at the moment on their side with sorting out some of the lobbies, but we will be in as soon as possible. But for the most part, I think it'll be interesting to see whether the expectations change or not. Because right now it is LSE Queen Mary. I think no matter the victor of this game, given the level of the other ones, those are the two people expected to qualify. But if we've seen anything coming off the World Cup recently, that's not necessarily the case. The expected winners aren't necessarily the ones that will actually qualify to the next stage.
It really depends on how they perform today. Especially we have these group stages, kind of best of ones. You do kind of play everyone once, but again, it's very important to say that if you have something hidden, some kind of non-meta one-trick pick, enemy team is not gonna find it, and they will find it in game exactly. Or if you have like a really good level 1 strat, they wouldn't gonna see it. They would be able to pull off these kind of cheesy strategies, or like if you have a particular focus, say if you really like doing your level 3 top lane gangs, well, they wouldn't know because they only play you once.
Well, we are finally into the picks and bans, of course. LSE on the blue side and Queen Mary on the other side. First ban will be Karthus.
Karthus, absolutely amazing, man. In this meta, Karthus clears extremely quickly, extremely healthy, not as vulnerable as before, and also, again, we all know the the good old Karthus doesn't have to go out to lane, just press R, so easy, so effective. Come to like mid game, you're running out with 3 items, press your E, die, doesn't matter. If you're in the right spot, you do damage with your other abilities. And also, quick fire bans coming out. With the Kiana is banned out, obviously. And the Yuumi, the hated cat, obviously banned out. A few other picks as well. Graves, a high tempo jungler that we saw a lot in Worlds.
I mean, precisely the pocket meta that we're sort of expected to come up. You see these jungle bans, you see a little bit of the bot lane focus in terms of the Yuumi, and then of course the pocket picks and the Shen, even the Belveth and the Kiana respectively on both sides. But the first will be that Gragas at the top side, and Nick is a player very much known for playing weak side tanks.
Gragas is such a good pick top lane. I cannot overstate how important this is. Like, having a top lane that is flexible to play tank or AP if damage is needed, and also having that basically 1.5 second CC every time a team fight comes up, and a lot of picks coming through very quickly. Akali, very strong mid lane champion that we see in Worlds, and also match against the Azir, the famous Azir Akali matchup, which I'm sure everyone has seen a lot of times. And we have Yasuo Diana coming out as well for the red side.
Yeah, a lot of AP damage, of course, but the Yasuo does offset that a little bit. And when you pick up the ADC in the bot side, that'll definitely change things a little bit there. But on the whole, proactivity in the jungle, as we expected, the Hecarim coming through on that side as well, being able to facilitate those lanes. And the lane it's going to be facilitating is the Xayah Nautilus, which is kind of interesting given the Morgana. I'm not sure about the pick order because the teams did actually pro-draft this beforehand to make sure they had the full selection of champions, as they are playing on their own accounts. But seemingly, I think that Queen's actually got the support counter pick here.
Yeah, I mean, Caitlyn Morgana, very famous, especially in solo queue. You see that if you're a gold player, you know that Caitlyn Morgana is gonna constantly push the lane, constantly being very safe, because when a jungler comes, Morgana can just black shield the person in danger. And if we're playing as a Nautilus, well, who is he gonna press R on? And obviously though, Nautilus have the better roam. If they can survive kind of the poke, Nautilus can do a lot of damage to other lanes. And we also see the actually the Akali is probably going top lane against the Gragas, and having Diana Yasuo mid lane, obviously against once again a very strong combo. Seems like Queen Mary love these combos. We have the Diana Yasuo, the Caitlyn Morgana, and looks very good early game for them.
Yeah, a very strong set of combos as a whole. I mean, it gives that team a very nice identity in having both the mid jungle and the bot lane duos, respectively, in terms of power. But on the side of LSC, I'm seeing some more later game orientated elements in terms of Xayah and Azir with their inherent scaling, and also their ability to be relatively safe, and in the case of Xayah, have self-peel.
Yeah, it's a lot more less combo reliant. Say if your Morgana lost the ability to hit hooks, hit bindings, that is a big problem. And for LSE side, I do love the Hecarim. Hecarim as the champion who really flourishes as at one item, can kind of run down some lanes if summoners have been burnt. And as you were saying, a lot of teamfight orientation here. We have the Azir doing the AoE damage, the Gragas providing a lot of disruption, and Hecarim going for the backline. And on top of that, you have the Sire, which does obviously incredible amount of AoE damage and the incredible safety of his ultimate. It is a very classic teamfight comp, I would say, and really, realistically, in those dragon fights, baron fights, where they are in kind of a confined space, LC definitely have the edge. And what Queen Mary has to do is to either find side lane advantages, especially with Yasuo Akali having really strong side lanes. They also have to try to play skirmishes or play off picks with Morgana and Caitlyn. And in team fights, if they really need that dragon, they just have to try to have a flank.
So we'll hope to see that come down on the Rift once the teams get set up in the mid game. But as for the early game, what are your expectations in terms of where Hecarim and Diana are looking to part? Because obviously Caitlyn Morgana looking to get priority into Xayah Nautilus and get farm. But do you think that Diana's going to end up trying to prioritize the Yasuo more, or the bot side, or whether Hecarim's willing to be counter ganking or do something else on the map?
It will be quite opportunistic. Diana does like the farm as well, and as we all know, that Diana is a better ganker once he's level 6, and I would assume that Diana would try to farm up for level 6, but maybe looking for some opportunistic ganks. Top lane Gragas can be vulnerable a bit early on when he doesn't have the CDL, doesn't have the tankiness, but it's kind of a opportunistic thing. Looking at Yasuo though, if Azir kind of misuses his E, or Azir kind of burn the summoners early, can look for the Yasuo lane. Yasuo obviously very high mobility, dashing through minions to try to get a kill. I expect Yasuo to actually take Ignite as well to try to increase this kill combo, but we will have to see.
Yeah, definitely very exploitable. I think one of the key cooldown is going to be that flash button, especially given how Hecarim and Diana actually want to engage. If you do get hit by a piece of CC here, it is almost definitely your fate sealed. But only a few more seconds before we start loading onto the Rift, there will be a very, very exciting game. Just to recap once more, this game matters so much in terms of qualifications to the semis. Whoever wins this is automatically qualified pretty much as a result. So definitely a lot of cards on the table.
And we are getting into game. We are just spawning in the fountain. A lot of very nice emotes coming up. Looking at the summoner spells, looks very, very standard. Could be interesting is that Better Self in the top lane. Better Self actually is a mid laner, so actually swapping into top lane here, drain the teleport ignite, having that a little more kill pressure. Would say by the time it comes first item, wouldn't really make a difference into this Gragas, but still kind of showcase that they wanted the early gank from Diana. Look at mid lane, flash ignite, top lane, teleport ignite, really want to use that. Looks like some early game level 1 shenanigans coming from QMUL side, trying for that bot lane brush, but it is warded by the Mad Chat getting out himself, seeing that 3 people just showed up in the bot lane for a party.
Yeah, of course, Queens will also get the other ward down themselves, back out, pretty standard. Safe early games at the moment, although Remy does seem to be looking for the enemy jungle. We'll wait and see if that does get spotted out or not. Do you believe that is just the buff there being warded out? Yeah.
Looks like jungler starting on opposite sides. Hecarim, unless he's taking a back right now, should be starting up on the top side. And that kind of signals that we will have probably a Trader Scuttle, and Hecarim probably just looking to full clear twice, and maybe Lunatic trying to go for some plays on the solo laners.
Yeah, precisely that. The one thing that Remy does have is, as we just mentioned, the advantage on the warding on the other side. May decide to go for an invade if once he does have the information that Diana is going bot side. Of course, that is provided to the rest of the team as well, but we'll have to wait and see. Admittedly, Lunatic also getting the leash there, so LSE Dog Mad Chad will be able to get to the wave first.
Yeah, interesting. Hualong and Huang deciding to actually leash. Usually in a Caitlyn Morgana lane, you don't really want to leash. You want to have that early pressure as soon as possible. And looks like the Mad Chat and Dog here will be able to, well, equalize this wave quite easily. Mid lane a bit of a A bit of a normal laning here. SpongeBob taking a bit of poke damage, but nothing too serious.
Yeah, for the most part. Definitely an unusual decision, as you mentioned, for the priority here, because as you can see now, rather than immediately being able to try and gain priority, you aren't able to do so. Thankfully, does kind of help you if Hecarim does decide to go mid, but as for the most part, fairly normal. Diana still pathing into the top side.
SpongeBob still trading quite alright in the mid lane, and as we expect, and Lunatic is on the Raptors, the chickens right now, and probably will look for something. Oh, a big trade here on SpongeBob. King Kendrick taking very, very low.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to have to be very careful now as the Zero mid lane, especially considering that SpongeBob has access to the Ignite and the Flash still left over. But Flash button is still available, has not used that yet despite that, and with the teleport cooldown eventually should be okay in the lane, but definitely losing.
Oh, interestingly, Hecarim is bringing Face Rush, which I haven't seen for a while. I have seen Conqueror recently, and maybe Face Rush is... I'm not quite sure, but something to look out for. This pony will be really, really fast when it comes to skirmishes.
Absolutely nice thing about Phase Rush is the extra mobility. There's the flash forward, root down Huang. Going to pop the flash in return. Ghost from Remy, and the hook that should be first blood donated straight over to LSE.
Wow, a bit careless from QMUL side. It is a hook, but also you should know that Hecarim is on the bot side. Now this really sets the Caitlyn Morgana lane really back, especially Lunatic actually doesn't really get the top anything done in the top side of the map, no cross map trading. Remy looking for something in the mid lane perhaps.
Yeah, it's sadly spotted out by the ward there. It's going to cancel the back, but Queen Mary does have the information. Diana going forward. Maybe a possible engagement, but I think both teams are just backing out of that one.
Yeah, looks like Remy will be just going for the top lane Scholar, which hasn't been taken. A lot of missing pings coming through from LSE's side, spotting out Lunatic with that ward. King Kendrick knowing that he has to play really safe now.
Yeah, absolutely. Benefit is right now, I mean, at least SpongeBob was winning the lane earlier, but I think Azir's managed to get a little bit more of an advantage. So early game so far very much going into the favour of LSE. Do believe that the top crab also got taken by Remy, so still ahead in the jungle despite devoting the time to gank spot side early.
Yeah, not sure what happened in the top side there for Lunatic. Didn't take the top lane scrap, which is interesting decision where now we can see Remy going back to his Grom and just doing the full clear again. A very standard. Top lane, a slight trade, but you know, Akali and Gragas, they're both very safe champions. They should be just fine. Just as your normal top lane wet noodle fights.
Yeah, of course, first thing is happening is that the Drake has now spawned. Won't be a little bit of time before both junglers actually decide to path down to it. If we look at Monday, most teams are actually not getting first Drakes till very late, but wait for the Hex Splash there. Nope, nothing will come off of that. They weren't really being stacked very quickly. That just wasn't the meta that we were having here in this tournament, but that is not to say that Drake stacking is a bad thing.
Yeah, Drake can be an important objective, but when you want a Drake, you really want to establish your bot lane priority first. And looks like with Saya getting a kill early on, it might be difficult for this Caitlyn Morgana to establish full superiority as we look at the lane here. Dog is just happily CSing, not being pressured at all.
Yeah, right there. But what might be pressured is the Gragas does have the ult available. Flash still here, but Lunatic, I think the plan is to try and potentially burn a cooldown on that top side, or at the very least give Akali a wave crash here because she really wants to push that in. There goes the engage, flash forward, barrel under the tower, and Better Self will slay Nick.
Yeah, a bit of a graded decision by Nick, but at the same time though, LSE is going to secure this dragon, seeing that Lunatic has devoted his resources topside. But again, you can see that Gragas just teleporting back with the Catalyst and should be fine. Actually, I'm very interested. Nick probably going for the Rod of Ages, I assume.
Yep, looks like it. I think that is the item. I mean, I haven't kept up too much with Gragas in the preseason, but SpongeBob may be looking for something. No, nothing will come off that either. Definitely has the power to give you that extra sustain through the mana and health that you're getting from that Catalyst passive, the Eternity, and when that builds into Roa, you get health, you get AP, you get mana, pretty much everything that Gragas actually does want, so it doesn't seem like a particularly bad decision.
And actually for Nick, not too bad considering he died once, still having a 16 CS lead. That's a big CS lead in the top lane. Like, you don't usually see that often, and yeah, that's quite a surprising. for me.
Yeah, fairly fine. Overall, though, not one team necessarily getting the better of the other. A little bit of aggressive trading there from Better Self. Unable to find any sort of lethal there. It is still a Gragas after all, but damage there may end up setting up for something later.
Yeah, showcasing how strong this Gragas can be in the top lane. You just don't die, literally. You don't die, and then you can heal up with your passive, which is, well, your standard top lane. You just want your sustain, you want your tankiness, you want your CC disruption as well. And looking at Lunatic, looking for something in the mid lane, but probably spotted out.
Yeah, Kendrick so far has been playing a very, very safe lane. Keeps to the right sides of the jungle and not getting punished by potential gank at all. Nick trying to go for the kill into Better Self. Both teams getting very, very low. Nick will get the better of the Akali there despite taking the tower shot.
Wow, look at that. The damage from the Gragas is quite insane. And just to note, this Gragas is not an AV Gragas. No. He will the Catalyst, which gives you only mana and health. But there's a fight in the red buff.
Morgana does get the red buff. Remy in trouble. Will dash out, but unable to survive. Hoenn going to pick up that kill. Mad Chad igniting down Lunatic. Now there comes the Chains of Torment. Zaya going to be stunned up and kill a double kill for Queen Mary.
Oh, that's a big W for Queen Mary, which they desperately need. The goal lead is now quite even, and I believe that Queen Mary really needed that. Well, they really have to unlock these platings on the bot side, which they will do in a few seconds, and which allows the Caitlyn to try to farm as much plating as possible, and then probably maybe moving Caitlyn into the mid lane as SpongeBob, although CSing quite well, do want to be in the side lane.
Absolutely. But what this has done is absolutely opened up the game for Queen Mary. Look at the bot side. They're getting 2 tower platings, obviously on top of the kills. Yes, it did go to the support, but nevertheless, you are still getting a very important XP and gold into the ADC, still as a result of the wave state. So what did happen is, well, earlier, LSE did have a very minor gold lead, but that has now shifted in the favor of Queen Mary, although the Hecarim is currently starting up the Rift Herald.
Yeah, the Rift Herald just being taken. Wondering which lane will it be used. I assume it will be the mid lane. Trying to break that mid as soon as possible before the Caitlyn comes mid will be a good idea. Actually, SpongeBob in a bit of trouble here.
Yeah, I think that's just about not a kill. Flash away from the Yasuo will get him to safety. Lunatic looking for it, but the roam from LSE should deny that. No connection on the anchor right there, and I think that's going to have to call off the play.
A lot of resources actually went into this play, and we can see that Hualong is just, well, happily CSing in the bot side. I thought it was a bit of freeze, but it wasn't. Decided to push the lane out, and has to be a bit careful here, knowing that Morgana is spotted in the river, but we'll just back off safely.
Alright, both teams are very, very evenly matched. This is kind of what we expected coming into the game, given the levels of both these teams. Relatively strong players of a very similar caliber, so very much expecting some very explosive mid-game team fights. But right now, I'm seeing some interesting things going on. I mean, LSE sometimes making incorrect map decisions around the bot side, but again, I think the early game halving decisions maybe from Diana and the decision from the bot side to Leash have definitely held Queens back in that regard. But a lot of trades going off across the map.
I want to see Remy actually devoting some resources in the top lane. Actually, never mind that Lunatic is actually hiding in the bot lane, trying to set up a trap. Might not result in anything. Actually, SpongeBob is here as well. The Diana Yasuo combo, we have to look out for that.
I think there may end up being a dive. Yasuo going to roam back up to mid. I think just on the expectation that Azir did also come down with them, and they didn't want to take a risk potentially getting punished on a counter gank. So nothing will come off that, but still, you can see now that the Caitlyn finally able to farm and push into the tower.
Yeah, and that priority will probably be able to translate to Inner Dragon, which is probably spawning very, very soon. And looking at Remy is hovering around, maybe trying to contest, so we might have a fight on our hands. And looks like, oh, Remy going in.
Okay, going for the fight straight onto Forlong. Gonna be flashed over, followed up by the Onslaught of Shadows. But I put Remy into position as he's gonna go down first. SpongeBob able to take for last stand, able to get the kill there, but there is the Moonfall from the Diana, and that will slay the rest of the forces of LSE. Of course, it is traded 1 for 2, but in the end, Queen Mary wins out.
Yeah, Queen Mary not just winning out the trade, also winning the dragon as well, which kind of equalizes the dragon count after it's been taken, assuming there's no ridiculous deal coming out. And as we were talking before the game, we have two farming jungles. We have the Remy on Hecarim and we have Lunatic on Diana, both really prioritizing their farm. Actually, Diana going for this Rod of Ages as well. That is surprising. I did not expect that, actually, because Diana is a champion that we associate with a very early kind of, not early game, but more mid-game focus with your impactful moonfalls on multiple people, combined with Spongy Bob's Last Breath, can do a lot of things. Rod of Ages seems a bit of a greedy buy.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one. Definitely not the standard there, but I suppose in the end of the day, it does give you a little bit more AP once it is fully stacked up in that extra level to maybe get that extra, level onto the Moonfall. There is a pause, however. I've been informed that there was a slight technical issue on the PCs, potentially with the ping and connection. So we'll be back when that does get resolved. For the time being, though, very, very even game state.
Yes, very even, and I would say this does favor LSE, who wants to fight these team fights, unless Queen Mary can pull out some incredible side lane plays, incredible skirmishes. I don't see how Queen Mary would win any team fight unless there's some kind of really good positioning, like really positioning difference in the team fight. And also, we always talk about how Caitlyn has this mid-game slump, and Farlong is slumping real hard with just the boots and some garage sale components, and just staring at Dog, who has already completed her Kraken Slayer. We can see a big difference in, say, around 5 minutes to when the next objective comes out, or maybe the second Herald. We can see maybe these two ADCs trying to find themselves in team fight, and then probably LC Dog will do a lot more.
Yeah, one nice thing though that I think we may have slightly glossed over on the side of Queen Mary's is, at the end of the day, there is that one more combo between the Dianas. Yeah, so, the big old poggy moonfall, you land it onto 4 people, follow up with Last Breath, and then everyone dies. Obviously, that is an idealistic circumstance, but it is nevertheless something on the table, as you say. If Queen Mary are able to position really well in a team fight, get the setup, then definitely a possibility going into LSE and something they have to consider.
Interesting to see that. So we haven't talked about the Morgana that much. Morgana actually building the Liandries, like having the 2 kills, having that confidence and going to say, I'm going for a damage item. And it doesn't look too bad in this game, but obviously going for the Liandries, you do sacrifice any kind of supportive items, maybe the not the Shurelius, the what is that item?
Which one? Moonstone?
The other one, the one that speeds you up, not Shurelius.
Oh, no, it's Shurelius.
Shurelius.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not having a great thought right now. Okay, Shurelius. Yeah, so you do sacrifice that kind of utility, but I think Queen Mary can afford it, especially saying that, they want to win early. Having an early damage item can give them the edge in some early skirmishes. And looking at this Gragas, Nick is actually went for the new Abyssal Mask, which is definitely a very good item here, especially if we are envisioning that we are playing around King Kendrick and not for the magic damage, King Kendrick for the AoE damage, then the Abyssal Mask should do quite a lot of work. It will be quite interesting to see after a couple of team fights. We should check that item's damage and see how much work it has done.
Yeah, absolutely. Something to keep your eyes on, of course. But since we are in the pause at the moment, what has been your favourite change, or at least most interesting change in preseason so far?
Most interesting change preseason. Honestly, I love the tag items.
Yeah.
Well, I love one of them at least. I love the heart steel. The heart steel is so... It's obviously broken. That being said, it's very fun to have the heart steel on different bruiser champions as well. So I've been Lee Sin enjoying playing the heart steel.
Oh, yeah.
The Lee Sin with the heart steel actually really, really strong. The damage actually is kind of ridiculous right now. And also, it just fits because when a lot of these bruiser champions, when they get into the fight, after they use their rotation, they resort to auto damage, and when they resort to auto attacking, it's very nice to see that there's that extra oomph to just finish off opponents. And so I love Heartsteel the most. And also, if you play a tank and you have Heartsteel, you're ready for your 10k HP.
Oh, yeah.
The 10k HP is just bonkers, which is just really fun to see. Big numbers, right?
Yeah, I've seen some insane stacking on some champions. I've even seen... I don't necessarily think it's good, but of course it's the concept of Vladimir taking Heartsteel, getting the autos, the stacking HP, and the AP. As soon as we come out the pause, we're going to kill with the side of LSE, punishing a mistimed Black Shield.
Yeah, that is a very unfortunate pause for Hoang. Getting, well, basically dead right out of pause. And we see LSE Dog sending her condolences with the Gnaw emote. And Better Self in the top lane not having such a good time. And as we see that losing behind CS and not actually completing her item yet. And it's not a good sign for QMU, given that a lot of QMU's draft budget is laid on their strong solo laners. They really need two strong solo laners to do what they want. Never mind.
When it comes to Moonfall and the Shuffle in response, Remy is here to punish, and those extra tower shots will seal the death of Lunatic. 5-5.
Wow, that was a very dead Lunatic very fast. And this is obviously what QMU needs. They are kind of behind, and they really want that mid lane going. And they really need the extra gold on their solo laners. Oh, sorry, that's QMU was the one that
Death
never mind.
Doesn't land onto Caitlyn, though, with the anchor to follow. Fulong gonna get out of that one.
We have now come into the pause, and we have some... Never mind, we are certainly unpaused. And Game State is a bit of a playmaker in the side lane and clearing jungle camps for both sides. Not a lot of coordinate invade. We have a bit of an interesting technical issue right
This
now.
happens all the time. You know, it's the classic when you unpause, you sometimes get debated by the spectator client. This has been in the game for a very long time. Yeah, it happens with right client, happens with spectator. It's just an unfortunate case of how it works. But there's the last breath onto King Kendrick. Will escape with the E.
Yeah, King Kendrick, quite safe, chilling. Not having the mythic completed yet, but I'm pretty sure he has quite a lot of gold in his pocket at this point in time. And probably being forced off this wave. Remy trying to do something. A SpongeBob tower diving, and
Knight goes down, flash away, unstoppable, to make sure you don't get knocked up by that whirlwind, but Remy will still pick up the kill. I'm not sure if he can win the 1v1 versus Lunatic, though, so I think Queen's able to just about get one in return. Not yet. Better Self unable to get onto Remy. Horse might actually be able to escape with the help of the Gragas, healing up. Better Self going back in. Ignite down. There's the damage from the Akali. Can Akali get the execute? Just about, but will it be punished at all? No! Nick not able to get the return on the casket. Investing the flash there as well. A huge lose out from LSE.
yeah, that's quite an extended fight, and we thought Remy actually got out of that. It eventually does fall when Better Self comes into play, and well, actually, just all of a sudden, Akali having 2 kills on the board right now, finishing that Riftmaker, and probably going to be a lot more happier against this Gragas in the top side.
Okay, well, both teams won Drake. Once again, despite that play, of course 6-7, Queen Mary does have one more kill. The gold is dead even. Drakes are dead even. I think this is possibly one of the most even games I've actually had in this competition so far. Very much match to match, and right now, very hard to say exactly who's coming out on top.
Yeah, I mean, it really depends on how they do the next few team fights. Often this game's when in mid-game, one big play, and then suddenly one team is in momentum. SpongeBob might be in a bit of trouble here. Never mind, Remy is in trouble, has a Shadow of Onslaught out of there.
Yeah, I think Remy had thought that there was only a Yasuo around, but unfortunately, the Yasuo was with some friends, as ironic as that might be. But Hecarim having to dash straight out of that one with that ult invested, and the Drake still being on a relatively soon spawn timer. I think Queen Mary definitely have an opportunity down here.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting now because for Queen Mary, they do want to stack the Drakes, given that their comp really excels early. But the problem is they haven't necessarily got that really good lead. Never mind, Matcha is coming top. Akali in a lot of trouble.
I mean, Death Charge going down, you're overloading 3, you better get this kill without any repercussions at all, and they will donate it straight over to LSD Dog.
LSD actually saying, no, we don't need a Drake. We want to actually expose your Akali a little more and going for some damage, tower damage top lane. And that is fair enough. And King Kendrick here getting, well, ace in the hole, just for funsies, I assume.
Yeah. Oh, has a short enough cooldown. Why not throw it out? You know, at least put it on a cooldown. Because, you know, otherwise you're not using an ability. Good to use an ability, right?
Yeah, it's free. It's free.
Yeah, free damage. It's damage stat padding. You know, ADCs you've got to do it at the end of the game. You've got to check the stat. You've got to check the details. You've got to see how much damage you dealt. So if you're not near the top, then you're trolling.
Queen Mary opting actually to put for long still in the bot lane probably will change now. Never mind.
Well, that is a very dead Azir.
Well, the Diana Yasuo combo we talked about. There isn't much counterplay if you die from that Yasuo Diana combo right away. Remy taking a bit of damage, but will be fine under the tower. Rift Herald gets summoned and...
Looking for the engage. Doesn't really get a good one onto Lunatic per se, but definitely enough damage for LAC to pick that one up on Swords of Shadows, onto 2 SpongeBob. The next target, Mad Chad, will get the first one down. Yasuo soon to die out. Will have to be exhausted in the end, so... Another summoner spell popped. Better Self does get hooked down, but I'm not sure if he wanted that. Mad Chad gonna go down. Akali looking for it. Dashes forward with the perfect execution, but does not execute in the end. And Gragas picks up a double kill. Caitlyn potentially next on the plate. Body slam forward. Absolutely no damage being dealt to this Gragas from the sniper. But in the end, LSE getting quite a few kills out of that.
Yeah, Better Self saw the highlight reel, saw the play, trying to go in, didn't quite manage to execute in the end. And, well, big swing to LSC. Now that they have this big team fight win, a lot of items will probably come in. We see that Hecarim getting the Shojin, actually, the first item, and having, you know, working towards the Sundra, and a lot of, second item completing for LSE Dog, and now they're probably trying to do a 5-man mid lane, trying to break this tower, actually. But looks like they might be going to their respective lanes, not too sure.
We'll have to wait and see. Mad Chad just clearing out all the ward here, a little bit of support wars over vision, as per usual. Nothing more than that, though, as Queen Mary have the bot side jungle ordered out pretty well.
Yeah, it's the vision game from Queen Mary's side doing quite well in the bot side, but also not a lot of advanced vision. So Huang just put down kind of 4 wards in the bot side river, but didn't actually have the chance to go in. Never mind. Onslaught Shadow comes out.
Almost keep them Morgana safe. Ultimate there to disengage. Flash forward, knock up. For long, still not dead yet. Remy unable to finish the job. Will get killed by Lunatic. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Will there be a re-engage? Better Self on the way. Lunatic dash forward. SpongeBob now here. Nick trying to escape. Should just blast Cone out of there.
Yeah, they're still looking for a Diana Yasuo combo. SpongeBob not quite. Oh my god, the Baron is being started.
It's on 20 minutes. I mean, the jungler's down. Going down to 8,000. A lot of damage laid down already. Should be almost done soon. Can LSE get a steal? Can they win a fight? We'll have to wait and see. LSE Dog actually just getting assassinated by Better Self. Better Self unable to finish the job though. However, Queen Mary did secure the Baron in the end, and they may get a little present in the Gragas as well.
Yeah, that's a really, really good call by Queen Mary, like knowing that they still have all their ultimates up, and Better Self doing actually very, very selfless there, doing zoning duties, completely zone out LSE Dog and the rest of the LSE team. SpongeBob in trouble though. Oh, never mind, not in trouble. Yasuo will come in. Never mind, King Kendrick.
Unable to get the ult off ult really late, and with that ace in the hole, he's going to be sealed down by Queen Mary, and another kill going over. Almost all of LSE's forces dying off of that overextension.
Yeah, and it's Queen Mary can now use the full use of this Baron right now, doing the mid tower, pushing bot lane, a bit of a scuffle there, but quite close to tower, so shouldn't be a problem. Actually forces out a teleport.
Remy still has the ult available, but he doesn't know where the other numbers are, Nick. Moving forward, can now see SpongeBob on the Yasuo, and Remy will leave.
Yeah, looks like a bit of a reset there. getting ready for this dragon, which spawns in 15 seconds, I believe. And looks like LSE will also not be able to contest this one. And very nicely, we have the Chemtech Dragon. It is a Chemtech map, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Chemtech.
Yeah, I love this new dragon. It's quite ridiculous the stats they give you, and best self in trouble.
Yep. Not better here. Not at all. Very, very dead, Akali. However, at the end of the day, your team did pick up the Drake once again. We see a repeat of history where LSE decide to overload topside for potentially tower pushing, but sacrificing the Drake. This time, it does mean that Queen Mary are now on soul points, so you have to feel the next time getting a Chemtech soul of all things could end up being quite dangerous. SpongeBob getting engaged on, but will disengage with his tornado.
I think it all makes sense to me now. So, what LSE is doing is they say, well, we are too scared of a Diana Yasuo combo. We don't think we can outplay that. So they're just going for what Queen Mary should be doing. So Queen Mary should be playing on these side lanes, but they say, oh, we have a Diana Yasuo combo, we can go through that. A bit of a supportive combat, actually.
Yeah, I think Huang with the Dark Bindings right now should actually be able to pick up this kill eventually, since the rest of LSE are not going to be around to help him. Very Chad support play, to say the least, but not necessarily positive for your team.
Yeah, LSE dog just say, I'm back on base, I'm safe. It's alright.
Yeah, report my support.
And yeah, we can see how LSE saying that, okay, we're not playing around this. We don't want to play against this. So we will just play on the opposite side of the map, which is. It is interesting how the combos, the Diana Yasuo combo, is so much played around that they're not playing to their strengths, is what I'm trying to say. But it does work out for Queen Mary, where they have the Drakes, they have the Gold League, and now the Baron has just run out, I believe. But look at the map. How much vision have they secured since they have the Baron? Having the Baron, having the lanes push out, got wards all over the place, knowing exactly what LSE next move is.
Definitely a game still very much on the table. Just to recap, Queen Mary on 3 Drakes, LSE 1. Queen Mary with 3,000 up in terms of the gold department. Significant, surely. I mean, most of the gold, as you can see, is in that Yasuo right now. 6-3 and 4, 211 farm most in the game. Very strong. Blade of the Ruined King able to help burn down that Gragas significantly.
Oh, the Blade of Ruined King can be really, really useful against the Gragas. Although, honestly, your Yasuo doesn't necessarily want to be near the Gragas at all. The problem for LSE right now is they have a very, very weak Azir. You have a very, very weak Azir who is going for this magic penetration build. That will not end quite well because, you know, you are behind already and you're not going for your big ticket items, your Rabadons, your Void Staff, those items which really help you secure your late game prowess. And now you have to somehow find farm. You just have to somehow find farm for King Kendrick. Without the necessary items, then it will be quite difficult for LSE to play in this team fight.
And as you say, it's going to be difficult for him to find the farm. Yes, it's a little bit of a mid-wave right now, but both bot side and top side are pushing out. Not exactly safe to be farming those at the moment, so unable to really scale as quickly as you'd like.
Yeah, I do wonder what LSE strategy will be for the next dragon fight. So obviously, Baron's coming up in around 40 seconds and a dragon in around a minute. And it will be interesting to see how LSE play around these objectives. So they don't quite have the mid push. Farlong and SpongeBob doing a very good job pushing out this mid wave. Vision control wise, it seems a lot in QMU's favor. And I really want to see how LSE can approach team fight. You have these tanky Gragas. You have the tanky Gragas who can do who can open the path for you to get access into these lack of vision places. You also have, never mind, the Baron is being started by QMU, forcing LC's hand right now.
Alright, feeling like a McDonald's employee now. Really want to burger flip this Baron, but unfortunately LSE do not have the read on it, and it will not really be a flip at all because it's going to go down before LSE even get a chance to lay their eyes on the big purple worm. However, they are moving down straight into the bot side, clearing out vision and setting up for the dragon, looking like they want to deny that soul away.
I think it...
Oh, Lunatic! Gonna land onto 2. That's a huge amount of damage. Shuffled away. No one dying just yet. But Akali is in the backline. Remy being focused down by the other side of the forces. And Akali getting 2 kills in the backside. And it's an absolute domination from Queen Mary. 5-1.
Okay, I understand why LSE have been trying to avoid these team fights for such a long time. Such a destructive combo. And it's... Damn. That will be at the end of the game.
Yeah, that's it. There's no coming back from that one. You have Baron buff and 5 members. If you maybe got 1 or 2 kills, it was winnable. But Akali there getting straight into the backline. Lunatic laying down enough damage just on the beginning onto the members. Splitting off Remy from the rest of the team. That was all they needed. And Queen Mary going 2-0, securing their advancement to the next stage.
Absolutely, commiserations to LSE and congratulations to QMU. What a brilliant win. Perfect execution there in the last team fight, and also perfect execution in the earlier game.
Well. I mean, we will have an interview shortly, but right now, I mean, big congrats to both sides. I mean, it was a very even game for about 20 minutes or so. I mean, it wasn't until the mid game, until one team fight happened, and it just went from there, right?
Yeah, it's very, very tense. Like the GOAT lead kind of, I think they swapped hands a couple times, and it just feels like one fight that determined the game. They just knocked a couple of Barons, so sneaking the Baron was such a good play, and also the first Baron as well. Like being able to say, oh, you have no jungler, and we have strong. Even without a Caitlyn, we can just burn down the Baron really quickly. So really liked how QFU played in this game here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well executed in the end. Was off a bit of a slow start, given the fact that I think there's a slight mistake in getting Diana to leash early on. Not necessarily doing very well off of the first clear, but after that, very much came back into the game, played their cards right, and executed. And that's what's important at the end of the day, is you do actually execute. No matter if you have a comp advantage, no matter if you have a gold lead, you still need to perform.
Yeah, and I think eventually we didn't get to see the stacking of the Rod of Ages. I think the game ended way before that. And we are heading into an interview now, and
I do believe we are in a second. Just a few things we need to sort out before we go into that at the moment. But yeah, we'll be into an interview in a minute. Once we get everything ready.
Thank you very much, casters. Thank you very much. And what a game, I should say. Very, very close, just until that very end.
Yeah.
But here we have...
Nick, top laner for LSE.
Nice to meet you. So it was an amazing match that we saw. Very close, especially at the start. It was pretty much us downstairs. We were like, who's going to win? Who's going to take this glory? But it seemed like it kind of slipped at the end. But how are you feeling after going up against Queen's Mary? You know, quite a strong team that we can see.
Yeah, so in terms of the lanes themselves, I think they went really well. None of our lanes actually lost except for our mid lane, where we picked a really it matchup, if you will. And I think we won most of our skirmishes. We played them well up till the end. We had a couple of throws. Aside from that, I think it went okay. If we were to go up into them again, we'll make some changes and they'll go alright. Yeah.
Well, you never know. Maybe soon you might be able to go up against them yet again. If you get into the semi-finals, I believe you just got to try and win this next match, and you should be in. So, but your next match is going to be against UEL, as you played against UAL and Queen's Mary. How are you feeling going against UEL?
Honestly, I haven't done much research on them. I think purely if you look at their win-loss, I think we'll do okay. Hopefully. Let's hope I just didn't jinx it, right? Alright.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully we ain't got no jinxes around here, even though jinx is in the game. But finally, if you was to get into the semi-finals, how would you and your team feel?
feel? How would we feel? I think it's all in good fun. We've played together for more than a year already. Have some minor roster swaps. Shout out to Born This Way, our old 1000 LP challenger jungler, who's gone back to Malaysia. But yeah, no pressure, all good fun. We thought if we won this, we were gonna down to Coronas, but didn't happen. Maybe after next match.
Wow, especially with that 2-for-1 from our sponsors with new meta. But thank you very much for the interview. We hope to see you again very shortly as you go for the next match. Good luck, and we hope to see you in the semi-finals. No worries. Sweet. And next up, we're going to bring up the MVP for Queen's Mary. Hey, welcome. Hello. Well, I just want to start off by saying congratulations. What a match that was. Again, it was very close. It was pretty much neck and neck at the start, but it seems like you just took the last sprint and was able to get ahead. How are you feeling about that?
To be honest, it was pretty close, but it only looked that way because they were just 3-manning me top, man. What could I do, you know? Like, exactly. Like, I couldn't farm that game. They were just choking me out. Like, I couldn't do anything that game. They're just choking me. No resources for me. 4 people top. Like, what? I'm just gonna do my job, you know, late game.
Yeah.
And like my team actually trolled me, you know. They're like, yo, you should be the MVP because you had the least gold, but you had the most damage. That doesn't make sense. I had less gold with my support, you know. And then it doesn't matter because still won. I one-shotted their carries in our team fight, and we just ended from there.
Yeah, especially when I was looking up there, I seen you and your team who was able to get quite a good few kills, and I believe I saw you you were popping off quite a few times as well, especially when you're saying about those chokes. So again, you have the possibility of getting into the semi-finals. How are you and your team feeling about that?
Well, I mean, we're gonna win again, obviously, right?
Strong confidence. I like that.
I mean, we kind of broke import rules. They imported me from Korea. They imported two of our players from Vietnam. So we're kind of breaking EU import rules, but don't tell anyone.
Sure. Okay. We make sure to keep that secret. So in the Group 2 stages, we saw that Roehampton and Goldsmiths, they went through and they're going to go into the semi-finals. Did you was able to watch any of the game, and would you have to see got any expectations what you can expect from Goldsmiths and Roehampton, and have you got any trash talk for them coming up?
Well, honestly, like the team we just beat, they said they've been playing together for a year, right? We've only been playing together for a month. Ooh. I'm gonna be honest. So and if this is happening to them, I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see what Roehampton happens. We'll see what happens with Roehampton and Goldsmiths next.
Yeah. Roehampton Goldsmiths, they seem pretty strong. So, but are they going to be Queen's Mary strong? I guess we're going to have to find out next week. But again, thank you very much and good luck on your last game.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Okay, that is it for that's the interview stage. That has been me, Brilliant Frame. I'm going to send it now to the ad break, just so you can for more sponsors.
Hello everyone, once again we are back with the 2022 London University Esports Tournament, of course, back again for the next two games, which are between UAL and UEL, of course, myself, Takua and Cookie back again to provide you with the action on the Rift.
I'm so happy to be back. After the game one banger, I'm just ready for another one. I mean, I say banger, it was very tense, even though it was very even.
Yeah, I mean, come 20 minutes, the game kind of blew wide open. Was very, very even for those 20 minutes, as you said, and then Queens won one major team fight, a second major team fight. The Akali overload in the top for LSE really wasn't working out the way they wanted it to, and therefore Queens managed to take the win in the end, which does give them that qualification.
Yeah, looks like Diana Yasuo. I don't want to see another Diana Yasuo. I want to see some bans towards it. If we know that one of the teams are playing it, please ban that combo. It is quite disgusting. It was quite lackluster at first, and it does came through in the end. And now that we know the players of UEL and UAL, which we will be watching.
Yeah, precisely. Just a quick recap on the results here. You can see that, of course, Queen's got that one next to UEL, UAL, but bearing in mind that LSE still has that one win from beforehand, this game is important in the sense that if you lose here, you're out. You are out. Both of these teams are 0-1 right now. They really need to even up to 1-1. UAL and UEL, of course, both have to play LSE and Queens afterwards respectively, so it's going to be difficult because the expectation is that they will be beaten by them. But if you lose here, then what's your hope?
Yeah, this is a must-win game, and I think for both of these teams, well, they have to win 2 in a row, correct?
Yes.
And this will be I think they're quite evenly matched, UAL and UAL last time I saw, and it should be quite good games, and they will have to use this game to also think about we can pull out some strategies here, but you know, if we pull out too early, then the other team might just realize we have this one single strategy that we use. But obviously, do or die time, you do want to pull out everything you got.
Yeah, and obviously to that end as well, let's say UEL wins, they'll go 1-1 to even up with LSE, then they'll have to win versus LSE to qualify over LSE if that's what they wanted to. If UAL win this, they'll of course also go 1-1. The difference is that they go versus Queens. So they would then need UEL to, of course, UEL would then need to win, they go 2-1. Assuming LSE also go 2-1 versus UEL, then there'll be a tiebreaker. So it's at the very least 2 games, but in the case of UAL, there is potential for a third tiebreaker game that they would have to win, depending on LSE's result.
Tiebreakers. Tiebreakers will be played today?
Yeah, they would be.
So if we have tiebreakers, we will have another game of League, which I am obviously looking forward to as well. Do we have any information on these teams?
Yes, I do believe we do. I'll just bring this up, I believe, with the red team here first, which is the side of UAL, composed of Wapo, Crossfire, Star, Segregate, and Telly.
And on UEL side, we have Bera, Warlock, Zoxys, Sniffer, and Will for Days.
Yeah, so just at a glance at the ranks that we've just seen, and if you did ever watch the first round, which was obviously, of course, broadcast from a different location, UEL didn't exactly have a very fun time. There was a Bronze Raven in the bot side, and we were, lightly memeing that with the skill difference in the bot side, and it did slightly show.
That is a bit of a mismatch, unfortunately, but honestly though, in my experience, the 5v5 game can be quite different. Sometimes you can just have your higher ranked players to short call, and you can just follow the calls. You can play a bit safer, you can play a bit more defensively, and let your higher ranked players, your more skilled players, make the plays, and you can just be on the ride.
Yeah, and one element is to do with ease of execution. Is always a good thing to talk about. One nice thing is if you don't feel like you're necessarily as comfortable, or you do feel like your skill level is a little bit lower, there are ways of getting around that by playing champions that are a little bit easier to play than others. So that's something they have to consider going into draft, of course, but at the end of the day, it is still anyone's game. Anything can happen. Upsets do happen all of the time, and we'll have to wait and see exactly what does happen between these two teams.
So speaking of the meta, so the game we saw just now, we did see some kind of rehash of the world champion. We did see the Azir, Greg is still a strong pick. I think the new additions might be the Sire, which we haven't really seen. Sire is quite an interesting champion. I think perhaps with the new Essence Reaver can be something. I don't think it was built last game. At least I didn't see it.
It was not.
There can be some difference in the itemization, but otherwise probably can flourish, especially in that game. They did nearly win. Saya, the ultimate did dodge the Diana Yasuo combo in the end, but I would say can be quite a outsider champion. AD carries we usually just see the Caitlyn's, the Callistas, the Dravens, and otherwise haven't seen that many outside picks last game.
Yeah, for the most part, that hasn't really happened across the tournament. It has been relatively cookie cutter from what we've seen. There are a few Ravens in the past, I think that's one other thing, maybe a Pike. But again, these aren't necessarily champions that are super out of the meta in the first place. Very much viable, maybe slightly less seen, but definitely not on the radar. Definitely on the radar even.
I have said it in multiple broadcasts that I would like to see Syndra all the time.
Yeah,
Syndra,
right now especially.
Yeah, it's super fun to play. On top of that, is a super strong champion. You're doing so much work on Azir, getting all the soldiers in place, thinking how to do a Shurima shuffle, and all you do on Syndra is stack your Qs and press R. and that is just a very easy execution, especially for, say, in uni level, say, Diamond and Masters. Easy execution, very strong in the meta as well, especially because it's reworked. The numbers haven't been rejigged. It's still quite insane thinking that, you just, once you get your stacks, you get a 15% execution threshold. You have a, I believe it's a 20% or 15% ability power increase when you fully stack your splinters. Yeah, I've been talking about Syndra way too much, and I've been seeing too little Syndra. And we should be going into... There's some difficulties with the lobby making at the moment. And we should wait a couple, maybe 5 minutes, that will go into the draft that was pre-made. And meanwhile, there is more to be talked about the meta. So, as we were talking last game, the jungle meta is a lot about, the increased clear speeds and the healthier clear speeds, where it allows jungles to do a lot more. We didn't see that last time, actually.
No.
We did see quite very, very passive junglers. We saw Hecarim just doing the camps all the time. Diana a bit more proactive, but still majority of the time doing the camps. So I think next game we will see something similar. It looks like the junglers really love to see, camps up, we will just do it. Especially when you're healthy, when you can do it fast. Why don't we just go and do them? And it can give rise to more farm-centric junglers, I would say. We see Diana and Hecarim, they are farm-centric junglers in kind of the early game sense, where we want to hit that. For Hecarim, you want that level first item power spike. For Diana, you want that level 6 to do your Diana Yasuo combo or any kind of combos. But for, say, something like Karthus, we did allude to before, Karthus can function very well into the later stage of the game. I want to see that. Something like Kindred. Kindred is kind of it's like the jungler in the World's meta was kind of on the cups. You see it kind of in and out. If you want an AD carry jungler, then, Kindred is kind of the pick. Graves we saw banned last game. Can be very farm-centric as well, but it seems to be quite banned quite often just because we saw it a lot of Worlds as the premier carry jungler. Not having seen any tanks in play. I mean, we did see the Gragas, but it didn't feel like a very tanky performance. He was very tanky, but didn't really establish what he wanted to do. We want to see some heart steals. I want to see some heart steals.
Oh yeah, heart steals, as you said, we said earlier, it's an incredibly fun item to mess around with. I mean, last game we didn't really get the tanks wanted to build that. Of course, maybe not enough time in the game, but obviously when you build heart steals, you're stacking that first. But very, very fun item. I want to see those big chunky damages come out once you get that health stacking going, and you stand around the target for the few seconds.
Yeah, just to say there are other tank items available. There's, I think, is a Valiant staff, and there's also Jack Show. Jack Show is one of the, I would say, people didn't like Jack Show, didn't think it does anything. I think it can be quite strong, especially on lockdown champions like Vi, but for Vi players, I've seen kind of that hard steal or just go for your normal kind of build with either Sunderer or, the Black Cleaver first can be quite popular as well. We are still waiting to load in game, so we have a bit of a podcast going on here.
Yeah, slightly. Just sometimes technology doesn't always work the way you'd like it to, but eventually you get there.
Yeah, we will get there, and the last player have just joined the lobby. You might hear the lobby sound on your speakers as well.
It shouldn't be coming from. I hope it isn't. Actually, it is. Now it shouldn't be.
And on this second game, looking across the ranks again, it's the difference is like when I saw like them one after the other on the screen that you guys also saw just now, it didn't seem that big of a difference. And then now I see them side by side in the custom lobby, and it seemed like, seems like UEL has a lot of things that they have to try to catch up on. Try to like protect their like kind of weak, not weaker, but more, how do you put it? Protect their like kind of lower ranked players, where you try to make plays on your players who are quite proficient or experienced in this 5v5 gaming.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, sometimes you kind of need to rely on them when depending on the sort of roster that you have. But, there's not much you can do about it. You have to kind of work with what you do have, play around that, and then use the draft to your advantage depending on however that works.
As we talked about, one thing good about like 5v5 games is that you can short call for your other teammates, where if that person is just playing a enchanter support, you can tell him to just say, "Yep, press E on me, please," and all that kind of a bit of a micromanagement. Actually, I do feel like bot lane can be a bit of a drag. I don't like playing bot lane myself. It feels like, because in game, although I like talking about the game,
Right.
when I'm playing the game myself, I tend to chill and lay back a bit,
Okay.
and like kind of see how the game goes and just enjoy it. When you're paired with a partner in the bot lane, you really have to be very vocal. You have to focus on communication on your partner, with your dual partner, on like what to do in lane. Say, oh, we push this lane now, or like, can you ward in this exact brush, or things like hit this minion with me, or like something like, oh, we have to back in, say, 1 or 2 waves. And never mind, we are going into draft. Finally, podcast is over, and we are seeing draft, and we will probably see some champions soon. Yep, Aurelion Sol is banned. I assume that is a...
Yeah, I think the assumption is that it is a pocket pick of some variety, unless they are just deciding to ban all the A champions.
Yeah,
for
I think
whatever reason, because bearing in mind they have done the pro drafts beforehand, so that is something that is on the table. So yeah, that is, I think, what you're looking at is not the actual bans that they did ban, but we'll see what happens when it comes to the draft in a moment.
Yeah, the bans is disappointing because it is just all the A and B champions. I'm not sure why they banned Belveth for B champion. Oh, never mind. On first pick. And not. Well,
Well, yes,
I got
of
too
course.
hyped. I got way too hyped. So on, very strong top laner. I've seen this in a New World multiple times, where On is kind of the premier top lane champion, where you have your engage and also having multiple choices of mythic as well. The Valiant stuff being used by one of the New World teams to good effect. And we also obviously have Akshan and Vladimir coming in. A lot of quick fire picks coming in here. Wukong, Zoe, and Yumi. Yumi!
Yeah, Yumi precisely that. Did get through the ban phase here for once, but that Akshan being locked in is probably going to go into the solo lanes of Akshan and Vladimir, and then we'll wait to see exactly what Yumi actually does get paired with, because it's not exactly clear right now. But Yumi nevertheless likes to be on mobile champions, or likes to be on champions that benefit from that healing and shielding that Yumi can provide, of course with the extra stat bonus. But as we've seen in Worlds, the champion is a little strong when it comes to certain picks.
The understatement of the year, a little strong. Very much a hated champion. I don't have to. I've been going on Yumi for like many times. We all know why we hate Yumi.
If you've played League, I think you understand.
Yeah. So, not going to the... Oh my god, also the Hecarim coming in. The
Oh,
Yumi
there you go.
Hecarim
We talked
combo.
about
Oh my
certain
god.
champions. That is one of them.
I am worried for UEL. I'm just worried. So we also have MF and Blitzcrank coming in. Both... Oh, actually, I mean, it's quite a good bot lane combo. Blitzcrank, obviously, quite a... the kind of standard counter. Or not standard counter, one of the counters to Yumi bot lanes. We have a Yumi Ezreal, kind of a less oppressive lane. Ezreal Yumi, obviously, one of the best bot lanes once you get into like around 20 minutes. But in the early stages, it is quite mild. It's the kind of a mild kind of Yumi lanes that you play into. Blitzcrank can obviously be quite useful in this. Maybe harder to hit the Blitzcrank, harder to hit the Ezreal, but very useful to when you try to pick off that Yumi where she is dismounted.
You just have to be careful with the Arcane Shift, as you say, is much harder to land than Q. Ezreal is able to buffer the Rocket Grab if he does time the Arcane Shift properly, and therefore get both him and the Yuumi out to safety if the Yuumi is mounted on top of the Ezreal. But the main thing is, Yuumi Ezreal able to stall out lane, and then eventually Yuumi can transfer herself onto the Hecarim or the Akshan later on in the game. That's a relatively solid scaling element for the team of UAL, but of course UEL still have access to ornaments later on.
Yeah, UEL does have a relatively skirmishy team fighting team. A little bit of mismatch in the Zoe. So Zoe usually you associate with the poke compositions. This team with Wukong and On sounding the horn, it's not really a poke composition. But they might be able to do some zoning with Zoe, like in terms of when you're fighting around vision for objectives, or vision just in general, having a Zoe bubble you from far away, and then following up with a Blitzcrank rocket grab can be a very devastating combo.
Yeah, there's the setup. I mean, on top of MF, of course, being able to provide Make It Rain as a slow, and then the classic bullet time follow-up for everything else. So a lot of setup, definitely. I mean, as you say, bubble, you have Blitzcrank, you have... So, for the side of UAL, they have to be very careful about how they position and what tools they have to potentially escape if they do get caught out of position. Because I think the one benefit of UAL's composition here is they can kind of choose a target and say, let's throw out our CC abilities, let's throw out our pick abilities, and just kill somebody.
Well, honestly, the problem for UEL is UAL have 4 Ubers. Like 4 Ubers for Yuumi. Like, Yuumi can be so good on all 4 of them. And that is really frustrating for UEL. Say they catch someone. Doesn't matter. There could be another carry on with Yuumi just kind of running you down. While it's a Hecarim running you down literally. You have your Ezreal just kiting around. Vladimir can also just come in and deal a lot of damage. Very hard to deal with. I really hope UEL does win the early game. Otherwise, it might be quite over quite quickly.
Oh, absolutely. But if UEL do win the early game, I think you're in a really good position because you have the scaling elements as well. It's not necessarily a case of, yes, stylistically your composition doesn't do so well if you're behind because you don't do as well into the enemy composition, but when you're ahead, I feel like you're doing even better because you have the ornament, or to able to get levels earlier perhaps. That's going to help the rest of your team be able to catch up in terms of stats. But as you said, this sort of pick power that UAL have is mitigated severely by Akshan's mobility and a rope swing, Vladimir Sanguine Pull, Hecarim's general mobility, Yuumi being on top of someone, and then of course Ezreal having 2 blinks potentially if his flash is available.
Yeah, a lot of slippery targets, as you say. Akshan can be really sneaky as well. Even if having that invisibility can be really frustrating for UEL to play against. And we should be heading into game fairly soon.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too long, just finishing all the load-ups here and there. But of course, just to remind everyone, whoever loses this game, they will be out of the tournament. There is no way for them to qualify to the next stage of the tournament. That is it.
Looking at summoners and rune pages here, fairly standard over the board. Ezreal with the PTA, I think, is the new trendy thing. I mean, it's been trendy for a while. Vladimir with the Aerie actually quite interesting because usually you associate Vladimir with Face Rush, giving him that teamfight mobility. Also, the ability to escape any kind of ganks. So this Vladimir can be quite... Oh, yeah, Vladimir's top lane. Yes, cool. So Vladimir can be a weak point early on for UAL, so UEL can try to exploit that. Akshan in the mid lane, quite standard, very scary with the Ignite as well and the PTA, a lot of early power. So very standard over the board. I'm actually just surprised that UEL is not going for an invade. When you have this crank, when I play my games in whatever elo I am, I do go for the invades with the Blitzcrank.
Yeah, Yeah, it's always tempting when you have something as potent as Rocket Grab level 1 to be able to give you that free pick, an extra 400 gold, and the tempo that first blood can occasionally give you, but instead deciding to leash the bot side. Hecarim will be leashless top side, and as such Yumi and Ezreal will be able to get to the lane first.
Yeah, Hecarim, honestly quite happy to be leashless. Like, the champion clears so quickly, it doesn't really matter. Unless you really want to say, I want to show up at your opposite side of the buff at like 3:30. But opposite sides of the map, jungle is starting at. And this means that Bera might just look to try to exploit this Vladimir, as we were talking about. And Nanami will probably try to see if anything bot lane, but you know, you're not really ganking at Ezreal Yumi. You're probably just going for the full clear and trying to get to your 1 item power spike.
Precisely that. I mean, the point of this lane is to pretty much stall it out. Not lose too hard. Backside never taking a lot of damage. Rocket grab, exhaust response. Backside is still getting extremely low crossfire. Might be able to look for the kill. Will be a flash away. Yumi should be able to keep this Ezreal relatively healthy. Whopper block will come back off, and very aggressive level 1 trading, as I talk about aggressive trading in the mid lane as well, as Telly picks up a first blood on the action.
That was such a good rope swing. That is insane, like landing so much damage on Warlock, and that was first blood. And wow, this we will see a lot of more of this Akshan, I think, in the mid game, given that he's has a lead right now, will be able to unlock his power to roam a lot more.
One scary thing about the Akshan is his early game damage, as proven right there, but his early game damage amped up by even more damage in gold. But Mappo Nanami is here, able to go straight onto Will for Days. That is a MF lockdown, and Crossfire collects that one.
Yeah, not much you can do about it if you didn't see that coming. Once Hecarim is behind you, not really anywhere to run with Hecarim's high mobility. And looks like Bera trying to maybe a scuffle in a scuttle? Nah, probably will just walk away.
Alright, not too bad then. 2 kills already in the first 3 and almost 4 minutes of the game. Very, very strong start for UAL right now. This is exactly what we really didn't want to see from UAL. Getting any sort of sizable early game advantage. Of course, it is just the first 2 kills. There's a way for UAL to claw this back, but it doesn't really set a very good precedent for a team that, yes, you have those scaling elements, but as we mentioned, really doesn't want to be falling too far behind. Bera may be looking for something here to segregate, but I think segregate with the Sanguine pool available is just a little bit too safe. We'll go in, Q and auto, but that'll be it.
Yeah, full health Vladimir with both, with the flash. Very hard to gank. Probably want to look for more Nanami in the bot lane again.
Alright, Hecarim going in, E is active, we'll knock it onto Willful Days. Yumi now riding this Hecarim, Ignite goes down, Flash will be burnt away, and that is a very relevant cooldown for this bot lane.
Yeah, that means Willful Days will be a lot more vulnerable in the coming 5 minutes, and seeing what Nanami has been doing, I expect Nanami will paying a few more visits to the bot lane. Telly being sneaky right here.
Backside sniffer in the mid lane, locking up Telly. Rope swing not available, but the damage is so low. Now it is available, and Telly will be able to get out of there. Trouble bubble does not land, but it will zone the action off. He is flashless. There's the timeout, and by the skin of his teeth, the action manages to escape, I think. Wait, Barra looking for a control ward down, Q down, but of course you're only 2 levels lower. And the action with the shielding from the passive is just slightly too tanky, and there is the Mastery Flash.
This is so frustrating for UEL. How? Telly should not have survived there, but he did. Like, he just kind of rope swing, like Indiana Jones style, out of those sticky situations, which is fun to watch, but so frustrating. I do feel for UEL.
Yeah, you have to feel for them with the amount of resource they invested. I mean, that was a roam from bot side, jungle turned up. This is one of the issues. If we look at the farm in the jungle right now, Wukong is severely down, 24 to 41. Not entirely sure how this happened. Of course, Wukong does have a little bit of a slower early clear than Hecarim. As we mentioned, Hecarim having a very fast one at that. But 2 levels down versus mid lane, not really what you want to see.
Definitely not what you want to see. And the dragon started. Oh, the rocket grab!
Thing is, I'm not sure if anything will come off of it, as again 2 levels between the support and jungle. It just kind of swoops back around in the pit, and we'll pick that one up. Chemtech down as the first Drake, but there we go. UEL 2 Drakes and 2 kills. Not 2 Drakes, 1 Drake and 2 kills.
Yeah, Hecarim with that mobility, and obviously with a Yuumi attached, not really scared of like taking any kind of damage in any kind of danger whatsoever. And the goal lead, surprisingly, is still only on 1k, which is not a lot of thing about Sniffer trying to go for something, actually backing off for now.
This is the power of the Ezreal Yuumi right there. So much sustain and healing, going to be cut a little bit by Ignite, going on to the MF as the new target for the focus. A little bit too much damage, but it's going to be a really close fight. Clutch heal will even it out to at least a 1-for-1. Very positive for UEL in this situation, given the circumstances. Yuumi unable to push in the wave, at least some kind of compensation.
Yeah, not too shabby for UEL as well. Like, a trade is obviously you want to have the full kill, but a trade is not too bad. Your wave should be in a... Oh, I couldn't see it. But your wave should be not too bad for Willful Days to come back and collect. Actually, no, your wave is actually pushing towards UAL side, and it will be some CS loss for Willful Days. But that aside, Warlock in the mid lane not having that much fun. Not enough mana, and Telly is just have more damage than Warlock in this game, in the moment in the game.
Yeah, not exactly what you want to be seeing, but then again, it is only 8 minutes through, and the lead is not that sizable, all things considered. What we'll be waiting to play for is whether UEL can continue to make some picks. We have seen Sniffer on the roams in various lanes and has managed to land the CC. The problem is the damage hasn't necessarily been there, so waiting to see if UEL can actually do the same thing in concept, but just this time actually have the numbers there to secure something.
Yeah, we've seen Nanami. Oh, never mind. Ultimate coming down.
Okay, Call of the Forge God straight away, going to be into the knockup, but Segregate a little bit too much healing with the Hema play combined. Onslaught of Shadows will force ZXZS's flash.
Sniffer also trying to get a piece of the kick. Bearer trying to on the sides, but not having that level 6 will not be very useful.
Look at the levels.
Yes, it's such a big difference. It's not having level 6 on Wukong is so frustrating. Probably will get us off this grump.
It's one of the things sometimes as jungler you just need to bite the bullet and do your clear. Those levels are so important for those fights. Stats and in this case even an ability in terms of your ultimate. So integral to be able to even make anything off of these ganks. And of course Blitzcrank, having been roaming, also doesn't have that 6 yet.
Yeah, these Blitzcrank rooms I think really have to work for it to be worth their time. And Nanami starting off the Rift Herald once again. And looks like there will be no contest whatsoever.
Yeah, not really much that can be done. If you did want to do it, I don't really think it would be in your favor right now. The best thing you can do on this Wukong is try and claw some XP back by farming your jungle that is currently available. On the whole, in terms of CS needs, UAL do also have the front covered on that, albeit minor in some circumstances aside from the jungle where there is a bounty.
Yeah, it's not too... Like, 1.5k is definitely comebackable. We also did mention that UEL have these great teamfight tools where we have the Call of the Forge God. We have the Cyclone. We have the Bullet Time. Never mind Sniffer trying to catch out Segregated, but Nanama is around.
Thing is, Baxter Sniffer is still level 5, no access to static field, and is a measly support, so without any gold income, you're just gonna get slain by the forces of UAL, and the same fate will happen to Zed here on the Ornn in the top side, UAL claiming another 2 kills.
That is painful to see. It was a good attempt, but when you do these plays, you have to coordinate with your laners and your jungle. You have to call multiple people up top to try to make that work. Unfortunately, Nanami was around, just came in and cleaned up. Never mind, there's just a big skirmish in the mid lane, and both mid laners somehow survived.
Yeah, slight maybe either a misexecution or just an attempt at trying to kill the Zoe there with a comeuppance. Maybe an auto attack was potentially the better angle. I'm not sure about the exact ranges there, but definitely a close fight. So we're getting very low, but after getting behind that tower, rope swing, but the support is there, and Warlock will get the return kill.
That is a time when you ping that baited ping and use that new thing to signal to your teammates that you got baited. And now we have the dragon started off from UEL side, taking it as their rightful reward.
Amazing from UEL. I mean, picking up the kill into mid lane really helps to ease the pressure of this action, and of course getting the priority, but maybe Hecarim looking for the steal, and he will get it with the help of that Yubi, maybe even a kill to boot. Barra getting dangerously low. Crossfire here to support 2 kills, in fact, and what we thought was going to be a secure from UEL ends up getting completely flipped on its head.
Nah, I'm so distraught. Like, this is such a painful to see. It's so sad. Like, they got the kill in the mid lane. They're going to the dragon. They're trying their best, you know, say, oh, we got a kill, we get the dragon. Hecarim with Yumi rushes in, kills everyone.
Wow. That's just unfortunate. I think there's no other way to
I think
put
it's
that.
unfortunate. I mean, to be fair, they did spend a lot of ultimates in securing the mid lane kill. I mean, we could analyze it logically like that, but we all say it's not right. It's just messed up. Like
It
Hecarim,
really is. I mean,
Yubi Hecarim, and now completing the mana immune will be quite some time before Nanami stacks it up to a mirror mana, but. Actually, I think the gold value on mana immune is not that great, right? Ooh, a lot of damage from Warlock here. Nearly taking out Telly.
no, it's the benefit of getting that extra 300 gold and the pressure relieved earlier off of that gank, so very nice for Warlock to be able to do that. Telly now unable to really pressure the same amount in the mid lane, but talking about pressure, that's a Rift Tower going top lane, and an Ornn inevitably going down onto this tower dive.
Yeah, just being gradually taken down by all the well, they're not DOTs, but it feels like DOTs. Vladimir Kill comes up like once every 2 seconds. Your Hecarim Kill obviously comes up very often, and a lot of this like continuous damage just kind of takes down the Ornn quite handily. Actually, we do know that Ornn hasn't finished the first item yet, but still, you expect him to be slightly more tanky. Never mind, bot side is a play.
Okay, just gonna be a power fist knock-up, but you ended up taking tower aggro, which is, I'm not sure, part of the plan, and Crossfire will fire and pick up a double kill.
Ooh, this play really backfired, and it's definitely not what UEL wanted. Nanami looking for more, looking for Warlock here.
That is a very free kill. Unfortunately for UEL, Warlock was just caught out there in the mid lane, and the little horsey was able to gallop in and just say, okay, well, you know, I'll take my gold, I'll collect that, go back to farm my jungle, and then reset for another item.
That must be how like infantry in medieval warfare
Yeah.
feel, right? Like it's just, you know, a horse coming and like, what do I do? Do I fight? Do I run? I can't.
This is
kill
why
them.
they invented pikes. They needed some big stick to wave them off and poke at the horses and make them feel scared, you know?
Yeah, definitely not a girl on a jumping rope would be able to defeat the cavalry. And the game state is a bit of a farming fest. Both sides actually keeping quite not too well on CS. There's Sniffer trying maybe something to ward Crossfire off the Scuttle. Probably would just back off now that Yumi has arrived. Yumi being the real threat, and both sides not doing too much. We see UAL actually hovering around mid lane, maybe trying to group up and to force out this mid turret.
Numbers are there. I mean, they do have the incumbent, not quite enough, of course, 2-11. Now an 8,000 gold lead. It was admittedly much smaller a few moments ago, but that has changed in the span of a few seconds, particularly during that Drake fight.
Top lane?
There is the Hecarim. Hello, Ornn. Not really sure Ornn's having a very enjoyable time. Just kind of wants to sit on his forge, but yeah, his day gets interrupted.
It's okay. He got his hot steal. He's scaling. He is scaling that permanent health increase. 28 right now. Will be more as the game goes on. We should keep track of that. That is the mini game that he's that Zexys is playing in this game. Even though the team might be losing, if you're getting your stacks, you're chilling.
That's how it works with Ornn. I mean, later on, once you get your mythic completed and you start giving ornaments to the rest of your team, You get even more percentage health on top of your passive. Bearer going for a little bit of a skirmish versus Crossfire, but he's going to get skirmish back on by the forces of UAL and absolutely dominated.
Yeah, that's not a great place to be. If you want to try to wander into these unknown places, you probably want to bring a few teammates with you. Given the goat lead, you might be... Oh, never mind. A rocket grab comes in.
I mean, it might be what they wanted for the flash as a cooldown available. There is the Trouble Bubble. Does connect, but blocked by the Yumi for the Paddle Star damage, so unable to pick up anything onto Telly, but at least a cooldown burn.
I really want to see the Trouble Bubble into Rocket Grab combo. Haven't seen it yet, but it might happen sometime in this game. So take a look out for that. Paddle Star coming in. Not that much damage, actually.
Solid enough, but not quite there. Hecarim able to come in. You do get the 1 kill back onto the Aksham, but I think with the cat and the horse... just a little bit too much damage as Hecarim yet to die, yet perfect KDA, and going to pick up yet another one onto this horn.
It is unusual. Like, if you think like farm animals, cats and horses, they're not the best of friends, but in on the Summoners Rift, they are the best of friends. Hecarim Yumi combo. Oh, actually, one thing to point out, we have this item. I believe it's a Jack Show, isn't it?
That's it.
It's Jack Show for Hecarim. It might be the build, or maybe he's just building it for funsies. I don't know, but we'll see how it functions in the game. Bearer in a lot of trouble.
Yep, you know what? It's preseason. You're allowed to experiment a little bit. This just feels mean.
It's mean. It's really mean.
I mean, I think you're still getting the kill no matter what. The Wukong actually putting the moves onto UAL right there. I mean, this is a Wukong highlight reel clip, but just delaying to kill the jungler, forcing a smite away. I mean, as long as you like. There we go. Finally, mapping an army is godlike.
UAL is just having fun, just putting the monkey in the cage, just having some fun there, and probably will go for this Mountain Drake at some point, unless Segregate wants to make some play here. Actually, no, the Drake will be started by the UAL side, and an army just spinning around the dragon, doing some damage. Segregate on the side, maybe trying for some skirmish, maybe?
Looking for something indeed, but it isn't just a Vladimir. There is a Yumi with him. Level 13 to level 9. Good, absolutely dominant. That Humo Plague may actually finish off the MF. Yes, it will. Little heal picked up as well on the back end of that. Dragon slain. Every single member of UAL dropping to the force of UAL. And, well, it is kind of what you expected.
It was. And Cyclone comes in, and all the ultimates come in, and Bearer is taken down, and ZXCS might be taken down as well. Actually have this safety of the tower and, you know, a lot of HP, so should be fine. Can live to fight another day.
As that second Rift Herald, the push does begin. Members in mid lane, you probably want to guide that one in for another charge here. I don't think one should be able to stop that at all. Should go into mid, you get a second charge. Very, very juicy. If you are a UAL fan, you're feeling pretty confident here. Remember, whoever doesn't win this game will basically be out of any contention, but UAL, even in the case of them winning, they have to at least win the next game and then potentially play a third tiebreaker depending on the results.
Now is the time to see who is best friends with Star. So Star have 4 options so 4 champions to hop on. And I think whichever person he hops on is probably the the person he thinks he's the most friendly with. Nanami just having some fun in the jungle, dashing around, killing some
That
camps.
mana mood isn't complete yet, by the way. It almost will be 354 out of 600, out of 360. Finish it off on this Gromp right here, but now that's a lot more extra damage for the Hecarim.
Yeah, I was doubting this first item mana immune, but maybe it's for the faster stacking, and we can see that Crossfire is just about to finish the mirror mana as well. Maybe looking for Baron now, UAL.
Has just spawned. You have the wallets and the gold available to you. And but that's 9,000 UAL simply not anywhere close to this on the map. They don't have the vision available, and to be frank, they also don't have the ability to contest given their positioning, so it will be completely free.
Yeah, Barra trying to scout out and then just getting collapsed on. We'll be able to cycle into safety, so not the worst. Not the worst.
Okay, Telly going to lay down a comeuppance, blocked by Warlock, so no kills to come out that at the very least, but of course still big purple worm in the hands of UAL to start sieging all the structures of UAL gradually.
This is when you see your true friends. Warlock actually flashed to block the Akshan ultimate for Barra there. The power of friendship might not be enough to save this game though, looking at a lot of pressure putting in the top lane and the bot lane. And also Hecarim with Yuumi still on the sides, farming a little and probably coming to put more pressure on this top lane inhibitor turret.
Well, the question now is how much plot armor do UEL have at their fingertips right now, being sieged into 2 lanes and attacked in the middle by the Hecarim, unable to do any significant damage at all. Warlock just going to die 1v1 to Crossfire, although taking a little bit back in the tower shot, but with no Zoe available, there is no threat either.
Yeah, a lot of members running around. The on-horn sounds, but doesn't manage to turn the fight around. And it's not an ace. Wilford Days is still alive. Oh, tries to ultimate to do something before he falls, but it will be an ace for UAL, and this will be the game.
Spectator coming out a little bit more, but yep, there it is. UAL, very, very clean game, completely in control from the beginning. Not really much you could have done as UAL. You have to feel for them. They are now out of contention, of course, but they're still able to play spoiler in their next game with LSE. If UAL do manage to beat LSE, there are some implications of that when it comes to UAL's qualification. But there it is, UAL getting that 1-1 score.
Yeah, commiserations to UEL and congratulations to UAL having that outside chance to compete to get out of groups. And now we should head over to the interview.
Yep,
Thank you very much,
interview with
Tastis.
Brilliant Frame.
So right now I have Mert here with me. So from the team UEL. Commiserations on that loss, but it was a very good game. Seemed very entertaining. Seemed like your team had quite a bit of fun. How are you guys feeling?
We're feeling pretty good after that really close game. It was really intense. And yeah, there's really much else to say about it. It was a very intense duel between 2 equally matched teams. So yeah.
Yeah. So with those matches going on, is there anything like you sort of see you as the team can improve it? Unfortunately, you did lose that match, but you did have a few aspects to you. You was able to kind of push them back, especially during the start. You was able to have it kind of give them a bit of a fight. So is there any things that you think you as a team can go back on and work on?
Yeah, so I think one of the main things that we kind of have an issue with is our communication. So we don't really talk plays beforehand before we do them, and half the time we're running around like mindless chickens. So sometimes it's really hard for us to come back, especially considering that we don't really know how to as a team. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Sweet. So we got Queen's Mary, LSE, and UEL still available to play to be going in the semi-finals. What are your predictions? Who are you feeling are going to go through to the semi-finals? Because they're going to go against UCL and Roehampton.
Okay, so UEL just destroyed us, right? So not them, because they just destroyed us. I don't like them. So I'm going to go with Queen Mary.
Queen Mary?
Yeah.
Yeah, Queen Mary. They're looking to be one of the dominant teams of this tournament. Not lost a single match. To be fair, LSE, they did give them quite a bit of a match, really equal throughout until the end. So they're looking for it. Well, thank you again, and thank you for being in this tournament. It's been much appreciated, and we hope to see you in the next ones. No worries. Cheers. Thank you. All right, and next up we have the UAL, the winners of this matchup. So again, congratulations to that matchup. How do you think it went?
I think it's pretty good. Yeah, but that game that we don't use a lot of time to end that game, so actually and they didn't do anything, so we just win.
Sweet. So again, you will be going. So I believe you're maybe going up against Queen's Mary. Their last team you got to go against. How are you feeling going against Queen's Mary, who have had such a dominant streak going ahead?
But to be honest, I don't know who they are, and I don't know It's not some kind of like rude talk. I actually don't know who they are, and I didn't play this game. Not this game. This tournament before. It's just a man told me that he want me to be here, and I don't know anything about this game. I just come here to play it as a rank. I don't know, to be honest. So I actually like, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know even that will I be the next jungle or what.
Well, we'll hopefully see quite shortly. But again, as I said with UEM, we have of course your team UAL, LSE, and Queen's Mary all up for grabs to take in that semi-final spots. You've got 2 spots. Do you think you and your team have the capability to be able to take that?
I think. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, come on, you must have some confidence. You got to go against Queen's Mary. Maybe a hard fight, but could you be the team that was able to topple that tower?
I think we will be. Yeah, I think we will be.
Wow, fighting talk that we have indeed. So, thank you very much for the interview. I'll let you go back to your team and get ready for the last last match for tonight. So that has been me, Brilliant Frame. I'm going to now send it back to an ad break from our fabulous sponsors who make this event even possible.
Hello everybody once again and once more for the 2022 edition of the London University Esports Tournament. We are here for the next round, of course. Takua, Cookie, once more. And this time we have a match versus UEL, who was just playing, and of course LSE once again.
And looking at both teams, we know that UEL is officially, unfortunately, out of the tournament, cannot make groups anymore. But there's everything to play for. You can play spoilers, and you can also play for your pride.
Yeah, of course, a huge prize for the whole tournament. Monster providing us with 100 cans in between the winners. That is a lot of caffeine, to say the least. Plus Federation with £150 off right points. And Glitch as well with $125 of Glitch vouchers between the winners. So very, very juicy pricing, if I do say so myself. So that's always a nice thing to come up. But in terms of the stakes on this game specifically, UEL is out contention for the next phase. However, if UEL beats LSE, LSE go 1-2. Currently, UEL are 1-1. The expectation is that they will lose to QM. Now, if both are 1-2, that would be a tiebreaker. It gives a higher likelihood of a tiebreaker scenario. Yes, UEL could still be a tiebreaker afterwards, but this may make the difference of them having to win their next game or not having to win.
Yeah, it is a important game where LSE obviously wants to win, but for UEL, they're fighting an opponent who has nothing to lose anymore. So UEL can bring out all the crazy picks, all the crazy strategies that they've made.
Draven out.
Use in that scenario, and we do see the Draven.
My heart was already
and then Viego in answer.
Your commands tire
That's
me!
it. Interesting balance. I mean, it depends on the
End
place.
of the
I'm
line.
not entirely sure about Viego and Graves necessarily being a champion, but I know Graves for certain is definitely a champion. He has played an awful
You used to be
lot, so that's definitely on the table. But for the most part, I think this game is going to come down to execution. Once that's come down to it, but last game, UEL did not necessarily execute what they needed to do, and that is what they need to change this time.
Yeah, and a lot of actual jungle bans coming up here. And so the Viego, Graves, and Hecarim banned, and all the kind of top tier carry junglers are banned out. And we do see Auric coming in from UE side and return. Oh, I love this. We have Syndra. We finally have Syndra on the board from LSE side. Syndra, as I was saying,
Yes.
a lot of power, and I really love to see this play. Really
Not
want
a
to see
problem.
Syndra launching someone.
Yeah, absolutely. Once you kick that R button later on, you
Yes,
can just kind of kill
to
them. There
know.
is no other way to put it now with the extra shard mini game that Syndra has, gets the Emperor.
Who questions my ability?
Finishing the max pre her little mini rework they had. But next pick on the line will be that Aatrox going into the Fiora, I believe. At least that was what Hobbit originally Heimerdinger Hobbit, but yet there it is. Into Fiora. A little bit of skill there on the top side.
Yes, I think for traditionally it's very Fiora favored, but with the state of the game, with how Aatrox is really strong after a few buffs, is now considered a more skill matchup, but still slightly Fiora favored because Fiora having a lot of options to use the parry on, like you can parry basically every ability of Aatrox and potentially get a stun. We also see a Aphelios bot lane. Aphelios very 5v5 champion in terms of Aphelios has very distinct identity. You want people to come to you and then you just spray them with your gun. You don't want to walk forward in a fight, you just want to stay back and kite. And certainly LSE's comps does that. LSE has the set support. You have a Diana, you have Fiora, all these champions trying to come at you, and Aphelios can do a lot of AoE damage. But at the same time, we did allude to that Syndra, where you might just get one shot.
Yeah, there are some ways of kind of building around it. In this case, when there's something like the set available and not necessarily a particular ability you're able to use the Gale Force to dodge out of, some of the build paths you can obviously go for is still opt for that shield bow and a little bit of an MR down the line. But this still lends to the key issue is you still need that gold income in the first place, and you need the time to scale. again, if we come back to the last game, UEL did not get any time to scale. They need to be incredibly stoic in this early game to get a chance to utilize their composition to the full potential.
Absolutely. And UEL actually have quite a lot of pick champs this time. So instead of just the Zoe and Blitzcrank from the last game, this time we have Warwick, Zoe, and Thresh, where three of them can work together to work on one pick. So you can have multiple different orders of the Zoe Trouble Bubble, the Warwick Infinite Duress,
Yes.
and the Thresh Death Sentence. All of these, in any kind of combination, can lock down one person. Ideally, some backline like the Jinx or the Syndra. But honestly, if you land on any front line together, that front line will die.
Yeah, I mean, the front line on the whole of the case of LSE, I mean, Diana kind of is a sort of midline, and then you have Set and Fiora there to also do some shenanigans. One of the things is that with the Fiora in existence in the game, you are able to do things in the side lane. That is a threat that UEL also needs to be aware of.
Absolutely. So, in this case, I would say LC definitely have the side lane advantage. Syndra, maybe traditionally not associated with side laning, might be quite different given how broken Syndra is in the current iteration. I know I go on about Syndra too much. I will stop going on about it. Actually, LSE Dog going for the Jinx can be not very fun because when we play Jinx, we do want the enchanters, we do want some peel. If one misstep from LC Dog could spell the end of Jinx, really.
Yeah, precisely that one misstep there is just a death sentence. Obviously, Fresh having that ability to hand cleanse is a potential option there. If you do want to have that extra safety, you can cleanse Gravitum or you can cleanse the death sentence, and of course Zoe's bubbles being another one of the big important ones. As we said last game, the opportunity to have follow-up on a bubble from a hook champion, this time the Fresh instead of the Blitzcrank, you know, very, very beneficial.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see UEL pulling off some early game shenanigans, trying to do some cheese, maybe an invade. I really want to see an invade. Maybe not enough damage. Actually, not too bad. The invade is not too bad. Should probably do an invade. Try to do the burger flip. Maybe get an early lead. If you don't, well, whatever.
You have to wait and see as we start to load back onto the Rift once again. To reiterate, UEL is out of contention, but if they do manage to secure this win, it's very beneficial for UAL standings, but LSE not 100% guaranteed. Still depends on the result of the next game, but very, very, very happy if they do get this win here.
I believe the top two will go into playoffs, right?
That's
so so LSE still in quite a comfortable spot regardless of the results of this game, I believe. And so looking at some summoner spells here, the game hasn't properly loaded yet, but we do see it from the caster side. We have the Ghost Ignite Fiora, so just be on the lookout of that. That's a very Chinese trend. Or maybe it definitely started off in one of the Eastern servers. The Ghost Ignite Fiora, very aggressive, having that Ignite for the extra execution potential and the Ghost to run you down. Not needing that flash whatsoever, not needing a teleport, just lane kingdom.
You can see as well on this side that the FLOS has actually. Why not? I'll transition it somewhat. I mean, it looks a bit janky with the overlay there, but there you have it, at least to showcase that we are still attempting to load into the Rift right now. But yes, FLOS also opting for fleet footwork here as an option to sustain into the Jinx, which does have I mean, we did have this trade-off a long time ago in the metas eons ago between the inaugural Jinx and Valios trade-off, but oftentimes the Valios did actually take the fleet in that matchup because of the range differential after you finish through Calibrum, and it gives you that extra sustain. However, you do end up having a little bit less damage later on in the game.
Yeah, but also interesting is that Jinx is actually bringing Exhaust instead of the cleanse that we talked about, and then I can see why you want Exhaust, but I also see that cleanse will be... To be fair, you can't cleanse the Warwick Infinite Duress, so there's an argument for that, and saying that I will just bring an exhaust, and if the CC comes, the CC comes. And what I like about this, what the match chat is bringing, is the face rush. The face rush sets support a very, very OG. I guess not that OG. I'm just a bit too old for that. I think a couple seasons ago we see this set support with the face rush and the hex flash doing a lot of work. And you can, especially with the new. Oh, actually, it's not set jungle. It is set support. So I was talking about the new jungle pet where you get extra movement speed in the brushes, but we are having a bit of a technical issue now. We'll bring you right back into
it's
the
a
game.
slight spectator bug. We're currently trying to resolve that at the moment, but first time actually so far that we've had one of those. Does happen fairly frequently, the spectator client in League, but I do believe we are back in. Hopefully, I'm gonna bring it back over to the gameplay. And fingers crossed it stays stable and we can get it.
Yay! We are back in game, and obviously, hopefully, it works. Okay, it should work. Okay, both teams running out of the base. LSE looking to do a 5-point, it seems, and EEL, as we were saying, trying some shenanigans here. Backside. Actually a bit more defensive. I thought maybe late invade. They're just doing a late invade. They're setting up for the late invade. Setting up for the 130, 140 late invade. Zed's XCS in the top lane, chilling under the tower. Why do I need to guard the tri-brush? There's never need to guard a tri-brush in the early game. It's fine. And this game, I guess we are going into a standard boring start, I guess. And the jungler is starting on the opposite side of the map. Remy opting to start from the top side, probably doing it solo, I assume. And Bera will be starting from the bot side. So both sides will have opposite objectives. We can see Nick actually going into the tri-brush, probably just staying there. And we can see that Remy actually goes back to the bot side and maybe shifting the priority and trying to influence this top lane volatile matchup. So the matchup itself can be quite sleeper if both sides bring flash teleport, but obviously with your aggressive summoners it suddenly becomes volatile. Fiora can be pressured into trying to make aggressive plays to get a favorable back. You can also be like Fiora not having... Never mind. A lot of action bot lane already. Big E from the match chat.
Yeah, that face breaker giving you a very big chunk out into Ferris Wolf. Days now having to play relatively far back. Unable to hit 2 first red LSE Dog. With Jinx, with the fishbones available, will pretty much almost always be able to guarantee level 2 first into this matchup as long as Aphelios isn't able to hit the wave quite as much. And that is exactly what happens here. Willful Days does get zoned off from that farm.
Bit of a mid lane trading there, both sides trading evenly, but obviously I have to remind everything again. When Syndra press 2 spells on you, Splinter is stacked, I believe, or 2 splinters, 1 splinter. I don't remember the number.
I think it's 1 off the top of my
1
head.
splitter. Never mind, Bera is trying some shenanigans bot lane, trying for early gank, will be spotted out by a ward though, so it's a bit foiled then.
Unfortunate time investment, nothing you could have really done about it. You do obviously have the information now. But it's warded, but it was the time that you decided to do your bot clear, then path here, so it's an extra sort of time gap that you've had to go path straight back into your top chickens, so Remy very much ahead on that front.
More trading in the side laners, and not too much happening in jungle. As we were saying, the timers are now 3:30 for Scuttler, which is different from 3:15 in the last season, so the pace can be a little slow when junglers kind of take more of the time to clear their camps and go into the scuttle. The scuttle should be now spawning right now, and we can see Remy on the top side already. Actually, we can see Nick. Look at Nick. Nick is going into Bera's jungle, trying to do some harassment, actually.
Yeah, Remy and Nick both invading top side. I mean, Barra just getting forced out, still available. They do have the ability to contest this. Not sure if they will in the end. Barra still Coming through, actually does get smited away by Remy in the end.
That's a level advantage for Remy, and Barrow probably wouldn't want to take this fight against a double buff.
Nick, though, actually, wait, he still has the Ignite mode. Okay, not able to kill the kill there. Barrow now with a new target, and Remy laying down some autos, bubble down, but just about gets the dash forward before the sleep goes off.
Big oof for UEL there. This Diana is getting uncontrollably ahead, doubling the CS of Vera and also having that extra kill. Big damage here from King Kendrick, forcing the flash out of Warlock as well.
Yeah, very, very nice, but a very similar situation happening for Vera here, trying to commit to certain plays across the map, but then falling behind in farm as a result when those plays don't work out as expected. So really gonna have to try and commit to the farm here. I do hope that UL makes the adaptation to say, you know what, we kind of have to take the sacrifice and just try and farm and gain resources the best we can.
The issue, though, is that not having mid lane prowl can hamper a lot of your shenanigans effort, per se. Having mid prowl allows you to do a lot of things, including moving with your jungler, moving your mid lane with your jungler, or just having more freedom into invading the jungle, or going through a more longer route to do a surprise gank. So if UEL is to try to be more proactive this game, first thing they have to do is to shut down the Syndra, is to actually allow Warlock to actually gain back the upper hand of this game, and from then on you can try to do more from there.
Core straight getting started up, there is no sort of way for UEL to contest with the way the Barret is in right now. Just simply too weak as the Warrant leading to farm up. Instead, there goes the parry onto the Q2. Nick very much in control of this match, clearly experienced on the floor.
Quite an early dragon compared to the other games that we looked at. At 6 minutes, so it's just basically just as a spawn, so we might actually see the soul taken this game if the game lasts that long. Both sides having a bit of a lull phase right now. Both we can see Bera trying to go top, actually trying to go on this flashless Fiora.
There it is, Kendrick laying down a little trade onto Warlock. Here comes the overload topside. Level 4 Warwick. Infernal Chains do land, parried away, and Nick escapes.
Wow, that looked... I mean, it looks so easy for Nick to do that, to just say, I got a parry, I get out. And this is not something I expected when, you know, ZXCS actually got the level 6 lead there. Remy actually coming back for a counter.
I mean, there goes the grand challenge, there comes the Moonfall. And that's it.
That's it. It's a little disappointing. It's kind of like, well, I'm a top lane player, and it gets me every time. My jungler comes, doesn't get the kill. My jungler backs, and the opposing jungler comes and kills me. It's a bad feeling. Look at ZXCS. He was doing well, and now he's like, you know, 20 CS behind, a kill down. Feels bad, man.
It's the life of a top laner right there. It does happen sometimes. Top lane has an island. There goes the ultimate, and so does Warlock.
Yeah, it's insane amount of damage. I mean, okay, to be fair, Warlock was quite low, and Froy should have just taken it back. Sniffer here will take up the gold, and the CS having a bit more there is always good. Having someone to pick up the CS and farm. Remy, though, having total scuttle control and river control, so Bera is still level 5, actually. Not having a good time.
Yeah, not really needs to be prioritizing his farm right now instead, but even if you do prioritize that, you still have the issue. There's a level 7 Diana looking for your support, unable to get the kill, and the Death Rocket doesn't quite connect either, so nothing will come of that. But still, LSE just invading the bot side jungle as a team.
Yeah, that's a very good macro play, but it's also very unopposed, per se. Wilford was pretty much stuck in his own tower, and as you can see, a level 7 Diana against the level... Well, actually, the levels have kind of caught up now, but Diana definitely in a very strong position. Never mind, if a Dress comes out.
It came out, but it didn't really do much damage. Here's the response from LSE. Moonfall will be used in response alongside some extra balls from the Syndra. Sleepy Trouble level should allow Warlock to get out of this one, but not great.
I'm just excited the spells will hit. I mean, it was a ultimate spell coming out, right? But it was a bit disappointing in the end, not doing enough damage. Then when Nick trying to take down ZXCS, it's a solo bolo with the healing and the damage and the lead that he acquired before he made it look so easy.
As the nature of Fiora, sometimes you give Fiora a slight lead and you basically give Fiora a mile, especially in a matchup like this if you do know how to utilize that parry to the best that the ability can offer you. Able to screw over a lot of what Aatrox likes to do.
Oh my god, Nick is actually leaving the wave as well, making it freeze. ZXZS having no teleport on cooldown at the moment. Have to just walk back to lane and accept and just watch the lane minions die to the enemy minions, which is sad to see. A sad day for top lane.
Yeah. Already, what do you want to say? 5-0 in terms of the overall score. Let's see, currently 5,000 gold above the opposition. 10 minutes in the game, reasonably high lead.
5,000 gold lead. I have seen teams come back from a larger gold lead, but the issue is UEL doesn't have a teammate to rally upon. I'm hoping Wilford Days, after this kind of really sad laning phase comes out, maybe pick up a couple kills and then will be a lot more impactful in the team fights. Aphelios, a very strong team fight champion, but you do need that 3 items.
Yeah, precisely that. Early on, unless you do get some sort of acceleration off of kills, gold, in whatever fashion, you don't actually do that much. Can do quite a lot, but I mean, I don't know what to say about that one. Just Fiora literally beating down the World Ender in front of her. There was nothing the Aatrox could have done.
Yeah, I think the grand challenge was overkill there. That Aatrox wasn't worthy of the challenge, and yeah, it's just Fiora things. I mean, I have played against many fed Fioras, and I can sympathize. Especially Fiora only on components right now. Fiora, after getting, I assume, building on that Sunderer. After having Sunderer, will be basically unstoppable. Never mind. Beck's nice Diver in a lot of trouble.
Yep. Moonfall gonna bring the drawback onto the fresh. Mad Chad there to follow up, and a very clean kill.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Another one. To say the least. That's the execute you're talking about. You press the R button. That's it. Might in fact be another kill set. Has the showstopper available. Autos down. The fellows will flash to safety.
Let's go! Let's go!
Okay, well, Aphelios wasn't safe, but the infinite duress under the tower does end up punishing Remy, and that's a very, very big shutdown gold. Will not be a clean sweep from LSE either.
Wow, 1 kill on the board. Vera netting the first kill for UEL. Oh, it's fine. Okay, bot lane is fine. Sniffer is just getting some CS, waiting for Phil 4 days to come back. ZXCS not having a good time in top lane as usual. But the important thing is, Vera got the first kill of the game. Actually, it was a big shutdown as well, and got his Sunderer now. Can do things on the map. Having that 1 item, technically you have the same number of items as the 411 Diana. If we discount the components, you can try to do something on the map, try to impact it. As we were saying, there is that combo, the Trouble Bubble into Infinite Duress. Death Sentence put is in as well. If you land it on anyone, once again, they will die.
Precisely that. This Syndra now with the Ludens complete. 5 stacks on the ring. Doing an incredible amount of ability power damage to Zoe. Just a matter of when you have that lead, it becomes increasingly hard for people to deal with people one in isolated situations, which is exactly what I want to see from UEL, is to prevent that from happening by trying to overload parts of the map rather than just playing out the lane phases instead.
Oh, in trouble. The ultimate comes down.
That's a death.
Ayo. Remy is gonna summon the Repel in the bot lane, taking down the last of the platings in time, and will probably look to move a dog and the Mad Child into mid lane, opening up the map even more. Nick is just doing Nick things solo bolo again.
When you're that ahead, you have all the right to be able to. Simple as that should be what you're doing. Backslash Snicker does manage to prevent the Rift Tower from going down and crashing into the tower. Enough time. Remy is available though. Exhaust onto Felios. Jinx now does get excited and should have enough damage. Maybe there's the rocket to come. Pick up the second kill.
I feel like Dog walked away just to try to
Yeah.
use the ultimate for the final kill. Vera in trouble. No, Infinite comes out,
I
but
mean, almost getting enough damage onto the Diana there. But alas, unfortunate. Actually, you do pick up the kill onto the set support at the end. So, you know, another kill on the table. You've just doubled the amount of kills you've had in the game. So that's a positive.
definitely a positive. Looks like Willful Days finally, after selling everything else he's got, have the Gale Force now, the first item on the board, or the second item on the board. A couple items yet to be finished by Warlock and ZXCS, waiting for the Mythic. Your one item spike is important, although you're 12k down. Having your item means that you have a chance of actually picking off one member together if you work as a team. But it is a tough situation. 2 dragons on the board right now. 30 seconds later, we'll be spawning the third one, I believe. And Bera, I guess, honestly, Bera is just lucky that he still has his jungle to farm. Trying to go for the match out though.
Okay, looking for a skirmish. Bera doing an awful lot of damage to the set. Of course, there's still a set support at the end of the day. Jinx is shooting out so much damage with the Kraken Slayer. Repeated orcos tapping and tapping away outside of UEL. Diana gets a double kill, and well, LSE increment their lead to almost 14,000 gold.
Yeah, that is a fast one. Willful Days in trouble too.
Yeah, Nick gets another one. Grand Challenge was going to heal them up to full, and well, yeah. That's that, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of gold difference. It's just gold difference where you... Yeah, I don't have words for that. And is that XTS in trouble, maybe?
I don't think that kills though. Actually does. Syndra is that far ahead for that executed kill from about 60% health, I think it was cast from.
It was
Absolutely
60% health. It's absolutely disgusting. 16 stacks on the Magi, so Stealer right now, and wow, I mean, it is on full display, the power of Syndra.
The game might just end it, to be honest. I mean, look at the Rift Tower that's going down. Move forward to 3, that's all you need. And Infinite's Rest ain't going to do anything back to that. Let's see, with a clean team fight, and that does secure them the victory and the 2-1 in this tournament.
That is a Poggers Moonfall combo there, and ZXCS popping the ultimate, trying to do something, just doesn't have the damage, doesn't have the mythic, doesn't have the damage, and will fall to Remy, and the game will end here.
A valiant effort, to say the least. Well played from UL. Of course, commiserations, we loved having you here. We hope you enjoyed your games, for this is the end of the line for them. It's not necessarily the end of the line for UAL in the next game. Of course, LSE is still in contention.
Yeah, LSE will play. Will have a shot at tiebreakers with
Either tiebreakers or auto qualification. It depends.
And we will now turn into an interview.
So I see that with brilliant frame.
Thank you very much, casters. That was a brilliant match, and here we have Warlock from the team captain for UEL, my home university, my team. Unfortunately, we didn't manage just to get into it, but we did have quite a bit of fun. We had a few, we had a few hit and misses, but you know, it's a bit of an experience for both of us. But how are you and the team feeling? I know it's been sort of a slow drag, but I'm hoping that there is a few smiles.
We're confident, we're happy, we can walk out of our heads held high. At the end of the day, it wasn't seeded in our favour, and we are a weaker roster, we've just come together. But at the end of the day, we had fun, we brought the game to them, we didn't just roll over and just let them have it. At the end of the day, it's like, yeah, we showed up, we can leave with our heads held high.
Exactly, that's the main thing. You came up, you put up a fight, and he was able to, get a few punches and get a few digs. So, it wasn't a full-on swarm, but he was able to get a few digs towards most of the teams, especially with Queen's Mary. That first match, remember, you gave them quite a big fight, so especially at the start. So they were afraid a bit. They got you at the end, but you showed them did better than most of the teams today. Of course, we're going to be going back to UEL. So, is there anything that your teams will be improving on, kind of working on, especially during the training stages?
We'll be working on everything. At the end of the day, we came up against like Diamond and Master players, and everything's a learning experience, especially with leagues. Nobody's cracked the game. Nobody's perfect at it. We're playing better opposition than we would in solo queue or flex. So, you could say we got rolled over, but at the end of the day, we showed up. It's experience.
That's exactly it. We don't have many LAN events, especially with the things of COVID-19, so it's happy that we'll be able to be back in these. So up next we have Queen's Mary versus UAL. You played against both the teams. How are you thinking this outcome's going to be?
I think UAL will take this quite easily. At the end of the day, we came in underdogs, and Queen Mary were the only team that we actually had a gold lead against. So first 10, 12 minutes we were ahead at 1-2K. It's minor, but at the end of the day, a lead is a lead. We'll take those. So UAL, their jungle is just too strong.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if they ban that Yumi as well. I remember when we was at the platform, Yumi, he was the guy who played Yumi, he was shouting out, "Bang Yumi," and you'll be able to defeat the team. So I'm hoping if UEL were listening. So thank you very much, Warlock. Thank you for participating in this tournament. It has been a pleasure. I will now let you be.
No worries, thank you.
No worries. All right, and now we got LSE. MVP for LSE coming up for the interview. Hiya. So, what's your name?
Remy.
Remy.
They censored my name, but there's poo in it. Remy don't eat poo is the full name.
Oh, well, very colourful name. So, how are you feeling after that matchup? You go against UEL, and that was your last match. So now,
Hopefully your last match.
yeah, hopefully your last match. It might be a tiebreaker, seeing how UEL and Queen's Mary go. But how are you feeling with this whole tournament setup?
I don't really have many feelings to that, honestly. I think the first week was pretty bad. Today's been better. Yeah. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, that's always good. It's been quite a bit of an upgrade, but seeing Queen's Mary and UEL, what are your predictions on this match coming up? You played against both of them, so I think you played against both of them today, so you should be able to see what sort of outcome we will be getting.
I'm pretty sure Queen Mary will win. I don't know, I mean, to be fair, I think Queen Mary just has cheese picks. If you get them off it, it's mad, but they have too many. You can't get them off all of them, so they'll probably be okay winning that. UL, I feel they're okay. I think the jungler is their main focal point, but he's not better than me, so I don't really have any. I don't have much confidence, I guess, in him because I feel like the cheese picks will be better from QL. So, yeah.
Well, fair enough. So, as we spoke about earlier, we could be going into a tiebreaker match. I believe it would be LSE versus UAL. So, if it was going to come out, what's your sort of moments going forward? What are you kind of feeling, and what kind of strategies are going to go in and compete against UAL again?
Oh, I'm gonna bust out my musty, and I'm gonna win. That's all the strategy you know.
Strong words. I'm very confident. Well, thank you very much, and we wish you good luck. And hopefully, we get to see that tiebreaker match. We always love.
I want to see.
To be fair, we always do love a bit of sweet, especially on that university sort of schedule. But nevertheless, thank you very much for participating in this tournament, and we hope to see you in the next one. No worries, I'll let you go. And that has been the interview section with UEL and LSE. I will now send it to an ad break from our fabulous sponsors who made this event all possible.
Hello once more, back again with the London University Esports Tournament of 2022. Myself, Takua, and Cookie providing you the action for the last time on schedule, but it might not actually be the last time. UAL versus Queen Mary. If UAL win, we get a tiebreaker between UAL and LSE. If they do not, then LSE qualifies. Queen Mary qualifies, there isn't an extra game. So it's a win-win depending on how you look at it. It's a win for us if we get an extra game, and it's a win for the teams because they get to go home a little bit earlier. We are straight pick bands this time, immediately with the action on lock.
Yeah, action. I think it was just because it was played in a game before, so that's why it's banned quite quickly. It looks like champions that were played in the previous games were kind of targeted banned. We see the Vladimir and the Akshan and the Hecarim, so all targeted bans from the games before. On UAL side, we do see the Blitzcrank ban, which is interesting, and Alistair ban, signaling that they might want something safe in the bot lane. And a lot of quickfire picks come out. We do have the Leona into the Nautilus bot lane matchup, and we have Echo, possibly a flex pick, but on QM side, it is the Fiora and Silas solo lanes.
Yeah, so I mean, Silas after Worlds just absolutely dominating the metas around the place, and the amount of damage you're able to output is actually very impressive alongside the sustain that Kingslayer can provide you, but of course a very notably weak early lane phase, and that may end up getting punished by a Yone if they get shifted into the mid lane.
So there might be some lane swaps coming around. I have seen Silas being played top lane, haven't seen that much Fiora being played mid lane, so it might be quite interesting to see how these teams deal with these counter picks coming out. The second phase of bans come out, and we do see a Fiddle's ban and Lucian ban. Lucian obviously with the Lucian Nami combo, very potent.
I don't blame you.
And Nilla ban. Nilla, haven't really seen Nilla in Worlds. I think we've seen it once, I believe.
Yeah, I think Gala played it once in Play-ins, but that was about it in terms of Worlds. But Neela in general is a bit of a weird champion because you get that amazing XP bonus, which means even if you aren't necessarily winning very hard, you're still winning because you're basically always up in XP versus your opponents, which also has repercussions of, well, you tend to hit 6 first and you tend to hit 2 first in most lanes.
Yeah, it's definitely quite an unfair advantage, I would say. And looking at some picks here, Kale, so a lot of scaling on UAL sides, opting for this heavy scaling with the Yone and Kale. And for QM side though, we have Karthus in the bot lane, it seems.
That does appear to be the case, yeah. I think it should be for long actually piloting that one alongside the Leona, which is a very interesting combination going into Kai'Sa Nautilus. Karthus is going to have to be very careful not to get hooked by the Nautilus there, or else it may just end up being his death.
Yeah, it could be quite painful in the early stages of the game, given that Kai'Sa Nautilus famously having quite a lot of early game pressure, and playing Karthus with Leona, I guess it's fine if Leona goes to roam, but Leona cannot roam too early because your wave state will kind of get frozen on, and it will be so hard for this Karthus to do anything to scale up. So a lot of focus, a lot of carefulness have to be taken by QM bot lane.
Yeah, precisely. I have to wait for exactly how everything unfolds within the game itself, though. But in terms of top side, well, that Fiora is going to have a very good time into a Kale. If that Kale ends up going top, of course. It could end up being Yone top, Kale mid, which I think would actually make a little more sense. Trying to match up with Kale with wherever the Silas is, I think, is probably the best idea, as they both do have collectively weak lane phases.
Yeah, I do agree with that. QM does go for the more offensive top laners. Yone obviously can be quite aggressive in the lane, but Fiora and Silas, I would say, are the more lane-focused or lane-dominant laners. And Kale, obviously, notoriously one of the weakest laners in the game, except for level 1. And only kind of unlocks that range potential at level 6, which allows Kale to lane kind of more effectively. But otherwise, is kind of the usual victim of getting dived on.
Yeah, precisely. I mean, your dive tools, though, aren't necessarily the strongest. Admittedly, if you could try and stack up a wave, you can bring the Graves in on the side of Queen Mary to be able to pretty much nuke them down. There's a little bit of counterplay, Divine Judgment able to give you a few seconds of vulnerability if that situation does come up. But again, as a laner, you have some level of awareness. If you have the vision available to you, you might be able to make some sort of considered judgment to avoid that scenario, as long as you play in a certain way.
A lot, you're saying correctly, like a lot of eyes have to be, a lot of brain has to be used into judging how the wave is going in order to determine that maybe taking a recall early and not greeding for like an extra wave is needed. And also, looking at the jungle matchup, Graves obviously the supreme carry jungler in the pre-worlds meta. Not sure how good it is right now. I assume it's still very good, given that we see that things like Hecarim flourish in this meta with the fast clear. Graves does clear exceptionally fast as well alongside Hecarim, and I will imagine that Graves will be quite well suited here, especially against the Echo, who tend to clear slower, and I do wonder what kind of build Echo would go to. We do see usually the Proto Belt into either the Lich Bane or the Nash's Tooth, but given that new tag items have come in, maybe some kind of shenanigans that we haven't discovered yet might be played.
That is the case. Remember, there are a lot of odds on the table. UAL need to win this game if they want any sort of shot about staying in the competition. And of course, Queen Mary, they just want to lock it in. That's all they want to do. Win this game, they don't have to do anything more. They're happy qualifying straight away as the first seed of the tournament. And that's it.
Yeah, and the win conditions for both sides are... It's quite hard to judge here. I might be accused of being lazy of saying who kind of play better wins, but with this kind of comp where both teams kind of do similar things, they both have some kind of skirmish ability, and they both have some kind of late game insurance. It really kind of comes down to who gets that momentum lead in the mid game to swing the game. And we're getting into game now, and looking at the runes and summoner spells, fairly standard. One thing to note, looks like Telly on Kel will be going to the mid lane, given that he's bringing Flash, and it goes alongside with the lethal tempo, and Segregate with the teleport is heading to topside.
That is the end of the game. All 5 of their forces of UAL currently sat in the bot side, will be swept out, and then likewise for the enemy in the top buff, getting all the vision. I imagine a ward will be placed down soon unless they decide to trap this bush. That would be extremely cheesy for a potential echo to sweep up there, but they don't know, chat.
They do not know. Yes, they do not know. And it is a very good trap to set, honestly. But looks like no one's going to check it. I don't imagine Telly's going to check it. Telly heading back to the top side. So what I said about the lane swap is actually false. We do have the Kale top side and the Yone in mid.
Well, the opportunity does present itself for Graves to just take the enemy buff here as well. Silas is spotted out on that. They don't necessarily know Graves is there in the top side, but I imagine that information will come through soon enough.
This effectively kind of splits the map like a vertical jungling. So in the preseason patch, we do see Riot explicitly saying that vertical jungling is too strong and wants to nerf it. And we will see how it pans out this game, because having topside vertical jungling is actually very beneficial for QM side. QM does want to go on the Kale quite often. Does want to go on the Kale. Never mind, Spellself is the mid lane trying to gank now.
I mean, just ease off a little bit pressure on the SpongeBob. They're taking a slightly bad trade. Nothing more than that.
That does break the vertical jungling, but they will meet each other in the river, perhaps, the two junglers.
Well,
so we're taking very low.
True, I mean, took minion aggro again, but obviously SpongeBob did just use all of his cooldowns to actually be able to do that damage in the first place, so won't be killed, but definitely might set up precedents for some skirmishes later on between the two mid lanes.
We can see how explosive it is. The abduct nearly kills Segregate,
There's
nearly
3
hits.
members, though.
Oh my god.
I think that Yone is gone. I mean, we'll have to wait for the tower dive to come through. There's the root, there's the stun. And there's the first blood as well. Queen Mary right off the bat.
That is such a successful dive. Such very well planned as well. Bringing alongside Huang and Forlong for the dive. And you see
wait, no, Kale getting a kill this early would be insane. Lunatic getting the trade back. We're going to get another kill into mid. Chaos all over the map. Fang isn't going to die there. Segregate going to get the kill back. Lunatic still alive there. Flash forward. And the E-auto from Kale. Telly with a solo bolo as Kale on a Fiora at 3.5 minutes.
Oh my Jesus, UAL is right back into the game. 1 kill on Kale in this lane that early is so insanely good. And also the other kill going to Yone. The two really important members for UAL getting their leads. The two really scaling, basically monsters, getting the leads in this game. Wow.
That is a huge power swing. Absolutely not what was expected, but exactly what you want if you are a UAL fan right in this moment. Yone and Kel. Remember, these are 2 carries on your team. Getting 300 gold donated this early on, which really helps for the lane phase, especially Kale in the top side. And obviously, Yone still being able to bully outsiders potentially a little bit more, at least at the very least, trade better versus this champion.
Yeah, looking at Nanami trying something in the top side, trying to catch out Lunatic perhaps.
Okay, here we go. I think the overload here is just a little bit too much move speed coming out with Fiora's Q, not enough. So Nanami gonna get another one. SpongeBob taking a trade in the mid lane versus Segregate. Currently, Unbound Soul still active, should do a lot of damage in true once that expires, and it will. SpongeBob getting incredibly low here. Has to be worried about that knock-up, taking even more damage. No flash available though, so Segregate cannot finish that off.
In the end, SpongeBob did push it in the wave and probably will look for recall. Never mind, I take that back. SpongeBob still staying in the mid lane, relying on the fact that he has Kingslayer and Huang coming to support as well.
Now, I mean, I think they're trying to see if they can maybe punish Segregate for overextending here, but is also waiting in the wings, able to punish, potentially dodges away from the Q. Goal is now to get out, but I don't think he'll be able to. Kingslayer giving him a little bit more time, but it isn't enough. Mapo getting yet another one. Wang, you're already level 3 in the mid lane. You lose this. Have to be very careful. Dredge line won't connect. I'm not sure he wanted to go in with the Zenith Blade there, but so they did. Leona getting rooted up another time, and I think that is a very dead Leona. Maybe even another kill to better self here. You really didn't want to take that fight in the mid lane, and yet another kill. 3 kills over for absolutely zero reason.
Wow, this is... Wow! Kills left, right, and center, but they all fall into UAL's hands. And obviously this is fantastic news for them, but for Queen Mary's side, they really have to rejig their strategy now. How can they do to salvage this situation? They must play a slower pace of game and try to cut their losses. Basically, you have this hyperscaling Karthus in the bot lane waiting to shine. Just wait for that. We can play for time, we can play chill. Obviously you have to look out for, say, Kale and Yone being hyper carries, but if you keep taking bad fights, you're just gonna lose more.
Oh, there's a lot of this going on. I mean, SpongeBob's gonna get the face sealed, landed, Segregate. Kingslayer in return, but unable to hijack quickly enough to do anything more. See if Better Self can actually do anything to finish this kill off. Requiem gonna go down, should do a good chunk of damage, and that will give the shutdown to a Karthus, but this Karthus is now in trouble. Fight continues in the bot side river, seeing if you can land another one. You need to get these Skittles online. Gets 2. Death passive goes down. Huang locking them up. Karthus should get a 3rd kill here. Crossfire will get out just fine, so at least some sort of comeuppance for the side of UAL, but still, Karthus gaining so much AP out of that.
Yeah, so much damage just from the Death Defiled passive and the... Oh, Better Self.
There's the quick draw, misses the Q though, and that might cost them the kill. Ult available though. Too much damage coming up, Better Self.
So much action on this game is a bit insane, and a big wave stat against Lunatic on around 500 health really scared that someone. Lunatic is just really scared that someone's coming to help a dive like Mopo is trying to do.
There it is. Nice Huang. Preventing that from actually going off. Echo getting blasted right over the other side of the blast cone. Another presumed skirmish in mid, but nothing actually ends up occurring.
Huang looking at top lane again, getting spotted by a ward though, but we'll just go back to mid lane. Segregate will meet Huang and deal some damage.
It's going for it. Soul Unbound still active for long, trying to land the kill onto Kaiser, dodges away from the dredge line. Karthus has the moves.
Lunatic taking kind of a lot of beating from the range Kel right now. Especially when Kel having this kind of gold lead and I assume some XP lead. quite difficult for him to play. A bit of skirmish in the mid lane now.
Trying again. Segregate taking another tower. Nobody else able to collapse here, so should be safe. Echo also available to support his mid lane if necessary.
Dragon is up. If we see like vision, we can see from UAL side there's a pretty good line of vision coming across the whole river. Kind of knowing when the ganks are happening. SpongeBob might be in trouble here.
Okay, there comes the convergence. Wait! Takes the Echo ult away. Actually gets a huge heal up, but it's just not quite enough. For a second there, I thought there was a way to turn that fight around, but the numbers of UAL just simply too much for Queens to do anything about.
Yeah, it looks so good for SpongeBob to take that Echo ultimate, but in the end, still gets taken down. And then Lunatic might be in trouble?
There we go, there's the parry coming for a lot of damage, and the shot from Graves to secure that one. Lunatic flashing over, needs one more Q, should have it in a moment. No, not quite enough damage to deal Segregate, but Segregate will come back to where his soul currently lands. And that is the waiting arms of SpongeBob. Yet another one secured, and where there was a huge gold lead for UAL, it's just completely evaporated. Only 300 left.
It did evaporate in such a big fight for QM. Lunatic wasn't in trouble, he was the trouble. And really that fight was such an amazing turnaround from QM side. And now they have all the momentum now taking the dragon and potentially getting more platings on the bot side as well.
They got all the resources in their back pocket and they're ready to try and use it. Games they completely evened up. Bearing in mind, this Carthus has been farming relatively well. Got those 2 kills earlier. Requiem will be a tool we really do have to watch out for. The extra chunk of damage the start or even the end of a fight can make or break the game. In a little bit of trouble here though. I did speak a little bit too nice about this Carthus, as I do believe he's just going to go down without much of a fight.
Well, he will go down fighting the minions, as the Skittles will clear off the rest of the wave and getting more gold for himself, and also looking at this Graves. First item, Ravenous Hydra. It's the hype. Ravenous Hydra is one of those items that we are hyping up about, getting a lot of extra stats just from killing minions, and as we all know, Graves do love killing the jungle monsters and minions. Huang looking at top lane, trying to make a play, a bit of a skirmish in the mid lane, not too much resulting, but SpongeBob is now in trouble again, the 3-man gang.
Very nice dodge away, there goes the ultimate, you have that available, face sealed. Requiem, there it is, there's on to 2, that might be exactly what Queens needed, not quite enough damage, actually SpongeBob going down under tower, but a positive trade overall.
Wow, the stolen Fate Seal was so damn good, taking out knocking up 2 people in the process and netting QM the team fight win. Now Bellaselv and Huang taking down the mid lane turret plates. There are actually more turret plates to be taken, and it seems like top lane Lunatic is probably taking a couple now. Farlong taking one here as well. A lot of gold into QM's pockets.
There it is. Currently 1,000 up. I mean, bearing in mind this team was just in a deficit from the early game. Of course, it's only 12 minutes in the game, but still have to bear in mind they did claw this back from what was actually a fairly losing position. So, props to them.
More fights in the mid lane. SpongeBob will be fine. Just the Soul Unbound wasn't long enough to do enough damage to SpongeBob. Herald getting summoned top lane. We'll take down a few plates. Probably will donate it to Telly. Well, it will be shared, but it's fine. That extra gold will be quite useful for Kel. Kel going for the AD build instead of the AP Riftmaker build, which makes sense in this case, given quite a lot of melee damage, guaranteeing that Kel will be able to land many auto attacks.
Yeah, I mean, together with lethal tempo, eventually when you get that Kraken Slayer, complete a lot of extra true damage. Every auto counts. At least that's the way it works. But Kale actually, speaking of, is scaling up into this game very nicely. Hasn't really been touched that much. Yeah, for game 5 CS down, but you got that kill onto Fiora earlier in the game, and that's really, really helping you out.
And most importantly, most XP in the game. Kel has the most XP in the game, and that just means that he might be in a bit of trouble. Never mind, it's just some regular trading. Huang, though, trying to dive this Kel maybe.
Yeah, but I think this is a little early. Okay, Hex Flash over. Take 2 tower shots and leave. Sure.
Looks like we are all having some lull now in the game. Both sides trying for some action and not quite getting it, as the laners are playing fairly safe, less feisty right now. Maybe waiting for this Herald to spawn for a good fight, and looking at some summoners here. Actually, never mind, Farlong is in trouble.
Oh boy. 3 members, there's the depth charge. Echo's Convergence goes down as well, alongside the Killer Instinct. Of course, 2 ultimates popped for that, and a lot of damage dealt to the forces, but it is just a lowly Leona. And alas, Leona doesn't really do much damage.
Yeah, not without teammates. Leona doesn't, and looks like Red Team is going for the plating. Oh no, they're going for a redive, aren't they? The Goon Squad is coming again.
I mean, it's just a Leona. You have the resources, but if you take tower aggro too early, it might be a bit risky. Not gonna go down. Crossfire just about able to get there, but the Requiem actually should just pick up 2 kills for free. The Andres burn should kill Crossfire. There it is. Carthus becoming the beneficiary of that entire streak of events.
And Segregate does fall. It seems like both teams are doing the same strategy. They are just running Goon Squads.
Yeah, yeah.
They're running 3-man Goon Squads. It is working. And we have to see how this Dragon fight turns out. And looks like that QM does have the positioning here and will just take this uncontested.
There it is, Drake available. That'll be the second one. Every Drake does matter, as you say, every single inch in this game. You have to consider how important this is, and also the mental of the players right now if they do want to stay in this tournament. UAL really, really in it to win it, and of course, QM, they just don't want to deal with anything after this. They just want to qualify. That is what they want, and obviously UAL want the exact same thing. So, stakes on the line. Both teams trying to do exactly what they can, and if Goon squatting it down is what it takes, then it is what it takes.
It's not a bad strat for sure. You do lose some silence, yes, perhaps, but it does make your gank so much more better. The place could be a lot more better when you have the numerical advantage. Star knowing that he overstepped just walking back out of the jungle, and Segregate might be a little trouble, perhaps.
At the moment, he's not in trouble, but he will be at a moment when he sees the 2 forces come down. Yone has a bit of room to outplay. Ult available and the Soul Unbound actually managing to do so right now. There goes the knock-up. Not quite enough damage. Better self. Ult in hand. Blasts the ninja apart.
Yeah, just about nearly survived. Star is in no man's land right now.
That's a solar flare, and that's a kill to both sides. Admittedly, SpongeBob picks one up. SpongeBob gets picked up even on the way back, so at least something in return.
Yeah, meanwhile, Telly is just very happily pushing out the side lanes. 130 CS so far, and just scaling up happily. And as you were saying, nothing really happened to this Kel, having a scoreline of 1-0-1. Top lane life, I guess.
Yeah, but it's a Kel at the end of the day. As long as you are getting XP, as long as you are getting farm, you are progressing in terms of your goal in the game. And the issue is the rest of the team kind of has to facilitate that later on. But, you know, Kale hasn't actually been relevant in fights yet, because Kale hasn't been to a single fight because it's Ghost Flash Kale. So
yeah.
I think it'll be interesting to see when Telly actually turns up to an important fight and the impact that this Kale might have on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Rift Herald just used to break the melee turn. Huang and Fualong trying to make some play happen.
Okay, trying to go into the Echo. There should be enough damage there between the 2 of them. Yep, there it is. Support going to pick that one up. SpongeBob on the other side of the map going to get laid down a lot. Going for Kaisa with the own killer instinct. Queen Mary, just everywhere on the map right now. Going to lay down 4 kills. Only the top lane island Kale remaining.
Wow, the tides really have turned. Ooh, for UAL, it's such a hard game now. Like, having such a fed Graves to start the fight, and then having a strong Carthus Requiem to finish off the fight. It's very hard to see how UAL can win these organized team fights. I do think they need to fall back on like the strong kill. Just say, okay, we will chill a bit for now, wait for our Yone and kill to scale a bit more, and then maybe they could do some side lanes, gun squads to, well, break open the game for them.
Okay. Mary getting a pretty sizable lead right here. 5,000 gold advantage, 2 Drakes. Very much in the driver's seats, whether they can execute on the rest of this right now. 8-1 and 6 Graves, very potent. If they keep trying to overload, get a kill somewhere, and then play off of that, they have the opportunity. But I think the retaliation here comes from UAL. Lunatic, no mana, 2 fair members up. Shouldn't be able to outplay this, and yes, Lunatic goes down.
That's good reaction from... Oh, never mind, Telly in big trouble.
Okay, well, Divine Judgment may be able to be used here. Okay, retaliated with the other Divine Judgment, so I was also going to flash over in response as we pan straight to the mid lane. So if they're going to go down, Leona maybe try to sacrifice themselves. Better Self has fairly good damage though, but stalling for the Carthus to come in. Wall of Pain. Damage for the rest of the team. Keeps going forward. So tanky, surprisingly. Only level 9, but able to survive. Requiem should pick up one more. There it is.
The damage is getting a bit disgusting now. 16 Magi soul stacks. Honestly, Carthus is not a champion you associate with Magi stacks. Just because Carthus will usually sacrifice himself to do more damage, but looks like in this case Farlong is saying, I'm just standing back and pressing R. So the Magi stacks are coming in.
I mean, there's a huge amount of extra damage now. You have 16, of course, but you just have to be careful in later fights if UAL can get an assassination onto him. You have the tools with that between the Echo, the Kaiser, and the Nautilus potentially land a depth charge, go in at the same time. You shut that down. The only problem is immediately he can just Requiem for free. So at what cost, depending on the situation that comes out in. But definitely something you want to be focusing on. But every member of Queens, except for the Fiora, admittedly, right now, in a very strong position.
QM is taking this dragon uncontested, potentially looking for the Baron soon. You can see that Huang is clearing out the vision in the top side, and we also see UL grouping up, maybe trying to get some pick before the Baron fight.
Well, that's what they need. A Baron flip is exactly what UAL want if they want a shot at trying to come back right now, because despite being in the lead, they were not anymore. Solar Flare goes onto Nautilus, unable to CC, but there's 2 onto Fate Sealed, but the damage just isn't there. Instead, Queen Mary with the damage numbers, and that's 3 kills. 4 kills, even, almost. I mean, it should be 4 kills in the second one, Lunatic onto Segregate, but there it is. Should come through in a moment's time. Better Self going for the rest of the map. Could be an ace here. Better Self does get that one. Okay, well, Requiem will also play it. Yep, sure, Carthus, why not? Wait, are they actually going for end?
Yeah, I think that will be the end of the game. The death timers are kind of long, given that there is a wave already pushed in.
Yeah, that's it, I think. It's just a lowly Nautilus. Kills the Leona, at least you get some revenge on the enemy support. But that is it. And as that is it, commiserations to UAL, but of course Queen Mary managing to get that qualification through. And with that, 2 people moving on to the semis will be LSE and Queen Mary.
QM. And QM, this game, a bit shaky in the early game, but very, very well recovered and playing to their strengths as well. Doing these fights where you can, timing it with saying, okay, we have the Carthus ultimate ready, we can go crazy a bit, and then have Carthus clean up all the kills. And Farlong did so much work. It didn't look like he did much work in lane, but he did so much work once the laning phase was over, once Requiem was unlocked, once he has the Leandries, actually building double utility items along with the Magi's as well, with the Rylais and the Morellos. Doing a lot of work in the end, and unfortunately for UAL, didn't get to do much kill gaming in the end.
Yeah, not quite, but shortly we'll be having an interview, of course, with the teams there, of course UAL and Queens, and see what happens. Straight over to Brilliant Frame.
Thank you very much, casters. That was such a brilliant game, and especially during the start, it was so close. It's like a ping pong match, just back and forth, kill for kill, and then you at the end you managed to get it. How are you guys feeling, and what happened?
Okay, so we wanted to throw the game, but because we wanted an extra tiebreaker, but then after they started shouting, we just started tryharding. So that was pretty much it.
You heard the voices from downstairs. You was like, you know what? Those guys downstairs, they're gonna see what happens to it, especially for Yui out. I bet Kuba's feeling the hurt now.
Yeah.
So for sure, you have now been sent to the semi-finals where you'll be going against UCL and Roehampton. How are you feeling about going against those two teams? They were pretty strong in the group too. Have you got any kind of strategies going in, or you feel like you're gonna floor it like you did here in the group 1?
So Roehampton is actually quite a difficult team, but I think we are the better players on every single lane. So expect us to stomp.
I'm loving this competitive talk, and especially so with the semi-finals. Are you feeling confident that you'll be able to get through the finals? Especially when I believe it's going to be UCL, Roehampton, LSC, and of course yourselves, Queen's Mary. Do you think you have the possibility to get into the finals?
Yeah, we're on top of every single other tournament in the UK. So
yeah, to be fair, I have been hearing a lot of talk of Queen Mary been absolutely stomping the competition in League of Legends, especially in the United Kingdom, especially London. So, congratulations again on getting into the semi-finals, and we can't wait to see you against UCL, Roehampton, and LSE. Good luck, and I hope to see you then.
Thank you.
So we are just waiting on my next sort of interviewer, next guest, so I can give her a quick interview, but I'm just going to take this opportunity to say thank you to everyone on the stream that's been watching and sort of giving us support. This isn't possible without you guys. So we just want to say a massive thank you, and we hope for the semi-finals and the finals that you do come back and you do watch it, even if your team didn't go through to the semi-finals. And we still hope we'll have your support, and we hope to see you in the semi-finals. But I will just have a quick peek to see where my next interviewer is. Just grab someone from UEL. I think UEL are taking the hurt here, especially Kuba. I know how much he wanted to win this fight, but he just didn't get it. Yes, I'm a little bit sorry, yes, from UEL. But I believe now we have got UEL coming up. A member from UEL coming up. Give them a little bit of a talk. Oh, and look who it is. It's the captain.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
How are we feeling?
Pretty disappointed with the final scoring. We thought that we had the early game, and we decided to progressively just throw it over time. I think it was a bit of overexcitement and just thinking and screaming. But yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, it did seem like a very close match at the start. It's like kill for kill, ping pong.
Kale even gets a solo kill on the Fiora. He was so happy. He was so happy about it. It's so gus.
Everyone seen that? Oh my god! I just heard the excitement downstairs. But from what Queen's Mary said, they said they were throwing.
Yeah.
They said they were going to, it wasn't until the excitement they heard from downstairs, they was like, actually, you know what?
Yes.
We got showstop.
Yes. We started screaming upstairs and we were going, woo, woo, going over that, and then the crowd below us started screaming back up and we just couldn't stop laughing the entire time. It was great.
Well, unfortunately, you didn't just make it into the semi-finals. Commiserations to that, but you have shown quite a strong team. You know, you worked well, defeating UEL, given LSE and Queen's Mary both are running for their money, so definitely a competition that we hope to see hopefully next time.
Yep.
We have to get your opinions. Who do you think is going to be in that final? We got UCL, Roehampton, LSE, and Queen's Mary.
I reckon, off of seeing them in UL and NSC as well, I think it would probably be UCL and Queen's Mary. I'd favour those two to be in the finals. Just someone needs to ban this Carthus because it's won 3 lanes in a row now and it's disgusting. It's disgusting cheese pick.
Definitely with those cheese picks, and so UCL and Queen Mary. Who do you think is going to take it? Who's going to take that trophy?
It depends if. No, I think UCL overall. I think UCL probably will, but that's not just me saltiness saying that we just lost this next team. But I mean, this team seems like the ones we just played now seem like they're having fun whilst they're playing as well. They normally. It's kind of flipping the early game. We were winning the early game as well, but I think they're just mid-game to late-game macro is pretty clean. So I'm excited to watch the games later when they come.
Yeah, so would I. Can't wait to see what UCL, Roehampton, Queen Mary, and LSE all have to bring to the table, especially going into the semi-finals next week. I'm really going to say thank you very much for participating, and we hope to see you in the next one.
Thank you very much for having us. I really appreciate it.
No worries. I hope to see you again. Again, that has been me, Brilliant Frame. That has been the final interview for today. That's going to be me signing off. I'm going to send it back to the casters.
Thank you so much for that, Brilliant Frame. Amazing interviews throughout the entire day, as always. Of course, just another big thank you to all the sponsors and everyone available. Of course, Monster providing prizing pool, Federation, Glitch, and of course, Federation being that platform online where you can create tournaments over 25 different games to create and play, of course, by your own. Join today for free, and there is also an in-game token 3-for-1 deal that they have available there. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and well, the next stage is of course the playoffs, and we'll see you then.